For former President Trump, trying to show that Stormy Daniels only wants money. During cross-examination today, noting that while Daniels claims she wanted her story to be told, she ultimately took money to keep quiet. Defense attorney Susan Nicholas attacking motives and memory.
She challenged details of her recollection of that meeting with the former president at the celebrity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe in 2006, when she said she went to his penthouse hotel suite, had dinner with him, and then had sex. Nicholas, trying to pick apart that claim, said to Stormy, "You made all this up." Stormy answered no. Her story has not changed through the years, even though Nicholas tried to pick that apart.
Fox's Eric Shawn, the former president charged with falsifying business records to hide hush money payments. Just getting word, a federal appeals court has denied Hunter Biden's effort to dismiss charges related to lying when purchasing a firearm. That trial is scheduled to begin June 3rd in Delaware. America is listening to Fox News.
Moments like making my kids my famous meatballs mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Now, this is more like it. Lots of sunshine this afternoon, some puffy cumulus clouds out there, windy and low humidity, 72 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 51. Friday, sunny and nice, 68. Chilly Friday night, going down to 49. Weekend looks great. Saturday, sunny, 72. Sunday, Mother's Day, partly sunny and 78. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Shopping for a home is exciting, but getting a mortgage where you don't have to pay any extra closing costs, no closing costs at all, that's even more exciting because that's thousands of dollars back in your pocket. Reach out to my friend Stewie with the Bagel Loan at Stewart's American Mortgage. It's a local business, and he is one of the top mortgage brokers in the entire country and awarded as such. I trust Stewie with 2 mortgage refinances, both with the Bagel Loan, and I encourage you to talk to him about how your refinance or your initial mortgage purchase on a new home can be done incredibly intelligently by going with a Bagel Loan. You can't go anywhere else and get a Bagel Loan, just with Stewie. And remember, he calls it the Bagel Loan because a bagel looks like a zero and you pay zero in closing costs that other lenders out there are going to charge you for. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Experts claim there is nothing tougher than a diamond. But at Diamonds Direct, we beg to differ. Have you ever met a mother? Strong.
Radiant, timeless. This Mother's Day, give her the gift that meets her match. With diamond jewelry starting at $200. Plus Diamonds Direct's exceptional quality and unbeatable everyday price, you're sure to give her a gift that wows this generation and the next to come. Experience the thrill of jewelry shopping done right at Diamonds Direct. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a truck accident, you need the best. Onder Law. Let us make your case our cause. Truck accident? Call Onder Law for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about. That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Well, today it is Anchorman. Brad Young sitting in for Annie Fry today. And welcome to the Annie Fry Show. And, of course, we've got, as always, Mr. Ryan Wiggins. Good to talk to you, sir.
Hello, Brad, and hello, Brad.
Brad Range.
Hi, how's it going?
It's great. And I'm glad to be here today. So thanks for the invitation. I get to play around here with the cool kids.
Always look forward to it.
You know, usually when I'm over on KMOX, it's basically old folks over there. So I get to play around with the young kids over there.
Man, we love to hear that. Man, we love it. You could just do that for 3 hours. We'd be like, that's fine. Nobody's listening, but we'd love it.
Brian's like, just tell me I'm pretty.
Yeah.
So thanks for letting me hang out with the cool kids today. And I understand that we've got a poll going on today, Mr. Range.
We do. Today's YouTube live chat poll is, will any of the remaining Trump cases make it to trial before November? So this is excluding the Bragg case.
Correct.
It's the ones that are left. And that's just yes or no. What we'd like for you to do is go over to YouTube, search Annie Fry on YouTube, jump in the chat there, and tell us why or which ones you think will, if you think will, or why not, if you don't think any of them will. So jump on the chat, let us know. We will feature some of your comments later on in the show.
Excellent. And we've got a packed show today. And I told Brad Range earlier this morning, I said, listen, I've got like 6 hours of material today, just for me. So I don't know how that's going to fit in with Mark Reardon, but it may be one of those deals where I just barricade the door and keep going because I got a lot of stuff to talk about today.
That's great. If you brought 6 hours and I brought 1 hour, then I'll just take over for Jimmy Fela.
Perfect.
You can keep going through Reardon, and I'll take over after that.
I love that.
Yeah.
We could do it. We could do that today because there's
Listen,
lots
I'm off at 3.
Oh, come on.
We'll come back and fill in for Del Walmsley.
We could make it work, guys.
We can do this.
We could do this. And it would be radio history. We just barricade ourselves in and just keep going, and it'd be fun. It'd be fun to watch. But we up today, we do have Hans von Spakovsky, the man with the best name to say on the planet. He is, as you know, of course, is the senior legal fellow over at the Heritage Foundation, and he and I are going to talk about the Supreme Court cases that have been argued so far this term, but have not yet been decided, because there are some blockbuster cases coming down the pike, and some of them, I've called them stealth decisions from the Supreme Court, because a couple of them, including Fisher versus U.S., has gotten no attention, and yet they have a profound impact on this country. And so we'll break those down with Hans von Spakovsky coming up later in this half hour. So you're going to want to stick around for that. But I wanted to start with this story because I have been, as have many people in this room, been a very vocal critic of Kim Gardner. And not that we have to rehash all of it, but essentially Kim Gardner viewed her job as a prosecutor as to not prosecute crime. I mean, that's in a bizarro jujitsu-like fashion. Prosecutors, I don't know, that's why we elect you to prosecute crime, but she was more interested in not prosecuting crime.
Yeah, that's the way I do radio.
Really? Same way? The idea of radio is to be fun and entertaining, and you do it the
walk
opposite.
in. Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's not where I was headed, but hey, kudos to you.
Okay, I got right to the point.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Can you imagine any job, like the title of your job is what you've declared you're not going to do?
Exactly. And because you remember the case that she was most passionate about was letting people out of prison.
Yeah.
Now, listen, from my perspective as an attorney, if someone is wrongfully convicted, I obviously want that person to go free. But as the prosecutor, that shouldn't be the focus of your job of getting people out of prison. The focus of your job should be putting people into prison.
Yeah.
And yet her viewpoint, because she went to the institute that's funded by George Soros and others, that the solution to racism in America is less prosecution of minorities. And I don't care if someone's a minority or not a minority. If they break the law, you go to jail. And that's the way that it should be. Yet that wasn't her view at all. And so it was atrocious. But what's interesting here, and the reason why I'm bringing that up now, is late last week, the auditor, the Missouri State Auditor, Scott Fitzpatrick, announced that he has his report done. Now, what's also interesting about this report is this report wasn't really started by him. It was started by his predecessor, Democrat Nicole Galloway. So she, the circuit attorney's office, when she was defeated by Scott Fitzpatrick, he continued it. He also expanded it. Now his report is done. Now, leaks from his office have suggested that there's mismanagement of money. There's also her failure to do her job duties because she was going to nursing school at the same time she was supposed to be the full-time prosecuting attorney, which, by the way, I would not want Kim Gardner as my nurse. I'm just throwing it out there. I wouldn't want her because once she saw, who I am, I'm thinking I'm not going to get the highest level of care.
I'd almost rather have her as my nurse than my prosecutor, though.
Well,
not me. Well, I want her to try to prosecute me because she is not good at that.
No, depending on which side you're on, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, basically, I'd be afraid she'd be like the Dr. Kevorkian of the nursing business. Oh, you're a conservative, are you? Oh, my goodness. Look, we just happened to slip in some poison there. But I don't know. I just wouldn't want her coming by and checking on me.
No, I understand. I've been in the hospital before and had nurses who were like, "Oh, you work at 97.1, do you?"
Oh.
And I'm like, whoa, let's talk for a second. What does that mean?
Who said that?
Yeah, that would not be good. But so what the attorney is doing, I'm sorry, the auditor, the Missouri State Auditor, Scott Fitzpatrick, what he's doing is he has this report. It's finished. But he cannot release the report until he's able to talk to Kim Gardner to clarify her position to find out her response to some of the findings that his office has arrived at.
So it's all waiting for him to be able to speak to her.
Correct.
The whole thing.
The whole thing is sitting there. It's like a Christmas present that's waiting to be unwrapped, but it cannot be unwrapped until Kim Gardner answers some questions.
And it seems as if Kim Gardner maybe doesn't love the idea of a Christmas present right now.
Not right now.
Like
no.
she may be wanting to push that off and have somebody steal the package from her porch.
Right. Well, and she's concerned that it's going to be a trap for a porch pirate. You know, those ones that explode and surprise the porch pirates?
Glitter bomb.
Glitter bomb. That's it. So I think at this point, she's concerned that package is, in fact, a glitter bomb. So she hasn't been anywhere. They can't find her. All the resources of the Missouri Auditor's Office can't find her. The Associated Press can't find her. I think the Missouri Milk Association has put her picture on milk cartons to try to find her. And this part, absolutely true. Scott Fitzpatrick has said, if you cite Kim Gardner, call this number. So it's like Bigfoot, all right?
Wow.
If you spot her, we want you to call this number and report that you've spotted Kim Gardner. So putting all this together in a blender, here's what I decided. Now, listen, I'm the fill-in guy. I'm here every once in a while. But I got this great idea for a segment for Annie Fry. And the theme song for the segment would go like this.
Well, she sneaks around the world from Kiev to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize. Take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me where in the world is
Kimberly Gardner.
Steal their soul in South Korea.
So wait, does that, Ryan, has that got a chance of being a regular segment on the Annie Fry Show?
Well, here's a weird thing.
Yeah.
The Mark Reardon Show already did that.
No. I came up with that idea.
No, you didn't. If Brad, if you want to pull up my audio here, you didn't even. You didn't know this.
I did not know this.
You didn't know this.
I just came up with it this morning.
A couple days ago, Mark Reardon came to me and said, "Can you make this?" And it's playing, so I don't know why it's not playing, but let me see here. There we go. Okay, I got it. Here we go.
Tell me where in the world is
Kim Gardner.
Oh,
so
I thought I had an original idea there.
No, you probably heard that on Reardon. Well, you haven't. Clearly
I did
heard
not hear it,
but Reardon's played it at least once, if not twice.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
no, hey,
not
that
original
means it's
that
a
I
good
did.
idea, though.
That's true.
Everybody's on it.
I came up with that idea myself, but apparently wasn't the first one.
No. Legitimately, Ryan Rucker was here yesterday, and everybody's asking the same question, which leads to the song.
Yeah.
Where in the world is she?
Yep.
Because it's a real news story. And we were saying yesterday, we cover a lot of Illinois on this show. Mark and Mark do a lot more Missouri. But generally, we're talking a lot of national politics. This is one of those stories that, to me, is just about to break. This is one that really could become a national news story when your former circuit attorney is off the grid.
Correct.
And could be prosecuted for crimes. Nobody can find her. I mean, she's a name that people already know outside of St. Louis. She's made national news already.
Sure.
This really could be one that if it goes longer than this week, this could start to become national news.
Yeah, and I think it should, because not just because she went off the grid, but because her progressive left, probably neo-communist socialist viewpoint of prosecution actually contributed to the greatest problem that faces the city of St. Louis, which is crime. I love this city. I chose to be here. I'm never going to leave. I love this area, and yet we can all talk about what the major issues are. But she contributed to that problem under the auspices of trying to solve it, and to me, that philosophy needs to be rejected because we've seen what it produces. It produces Daniel Riley. It produces people who are out of jail who should be in jail, and it resulted in Janae Edmondson losing her legs. That was the result of her philosophy when it comes to fighting crime, which was not to fight crime, but to, in essence, to encourage crime and to enable crime. And so I do hope this gets to be a national story, because this same problem is going on all across the country, not just here.
Right.
It's a nationwide problem.
But it is emblematic of that nationwide problem because it is so local. It is so repeatable.
Yes.
And this is on the heels. So Monday, one of the big stories that broke is about who's funding the college protests. Well, all these names, and you mentioned Soros and David
Rockefeller and Pritzker,
Yes.
not the governor of Illinois, but his family.
Yes.
Is one of the major donors, the $1 billion Hilton hotel chain. One of their family members, of Pritzker family members, is donating enormous sums of money to enable the protesters.
And so it's a lot of that same money that was behind not changing the laws. They openly said, we're not trying to change the laws anymore. We're trying to get people who will just not enforce them. So you can make all the laws you want. We're going to elect people that just do whatever they want anyway. And they've done it all over the country. And now this is the fruit of that.
Yes.
10 years ago, I said this yesterday too. People were saying, hey, you got to pay attention to what they're doing with these circuit attorneys in these big cities. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm paying attention. But they said, look, 10 years from now, this is what it's going to look like. And they said exactly this.
Mm-hmm.
And it is exactly what's happened.
Yes.
And now they didn't say what would happen afterwards, but we're seeing at least some pushback because we live in a red state. Now, if you live in a blue state, nothing's happening.
Nope. Right.
But if you live in a red state, they are doing something about it. And it's good that they are, but we don't know what chapter next is. We really don't, because we've never been here before. So are these problems going to be things that voters wake up to ultimately or not? Because they might not.
That's true. They may not. So one of the things that I'll probably talk about as the show unfolds today is the exact constitutional First Amendment guidelines that covers these protesters and why cities across America, including St. Louis, they've dropped the ball because there's action that they could be taking that they've failed to take. Now, just not from a legal perspective, but from a practical perspective, the first thing I think they should do on these college campuses is ban the deliveries of pizza and food and drinks and plywood and chain link fences to the college campus, all right? And if you ban those deliveries, the people don't have a First Amendment right to deliver pizza to a campus. If you prohibited that, those folks are going to leave because they're being fueled by pizza. You know what? It's interesting, though. What has not been delivered to those protesters, apparently, is deodorant. Because there's been a lot of concerns about
personal hygiene.
Personal hygiene on those from those protesters. Big concern. Hey, stick around because after this break, we're going to talk legal issues with Hans von Spakovsky, and we're going to talk about Supreme Court cases that have been argued but have not yet been decided, and how those decisions will impact this country. Brad Young sitting in for Annie Fry today. We'll be back right after this on 97.1 FM Talk.
She grew up slow, like American honey.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
So when I sing pure and sweet American honey.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. More than 11 years ago, we set out to help women right here in St. Louis. Today, Coalition Life celebrates more than 3,500 clients served and thousands of lives saved since we began this mission with you. Each one is a miracle. Over the years, day in and day out, our team has walked alongside women facing the fear and challenges of an unexpected pregnancy. Through the support of this community, we have given them hope and a path to choose life for the children they carry. Our work at Coalition Life continues, and we need your support more than ever in a post-Roe v. Wade world. Whether you join us as a volunteer, an employee, or a donor, know that you have a special impact to make for these precious children. Visit coalitionlife.com to give your vital support while reducing or completely eliminating your state taxes through Missouri's 70% tax credit. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com.
Just imagine being walked all over for 36 years. Who would do that? The great customers of Reinhold Flooring, that's who. For over 3.5 decades, Reinhold Flooring has been the mecca for carpet, hardwood, vinyl, laminate, and area rugs. Reinhold Flooring is customer-driven with a focus on top-quality products and installations from the best team in the business. So come on in and walk all over your next flooring at Reinhold Flooring. Visit them at 5429 Telegraph Road in St. Louis or online at reinholdflooring.com.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
This is a special alert to all Americans who
you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Del Walmsley and the Wealth Cycle.
This is the wealth cycle that I've taught for 30 years. Buy one house, 10 houses, an apartment, 2 apartments, 8, 20, 500 units, 1,000 units, 2,000, 5,000 units. And as you keep putting the money and the profits back in, you become one of those rich people. And much quicker than you'd even believe.
Learn Dell's Wealth Cycle at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Use promo code 2024. Save 60%. Code 2024. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. Keep the air you're paying to heat where it should be with 15% off attic insulation. For a free estimate on attic insulation, visit aircomfortservice.com.
It's Pick Your Ticket time on The Mark Reardon Show. Earth, Wind, and Fire in Chicago. Train and REO. The Doobie Brothers. Need to Breathe. And OAR. Listen to win and then pick your show. Pick Your Ticket on The Mark Reardon Show. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
Interesting. We had someone text in, actually, where was that? Where did that question come in from?
That was on our YouTube chat.
Oh,
It was Scooter.
Got it. And the question was, can Scott Fitzpatrick, the Missouri state auditor, can he compel Kim Gardner to testify regarding his audit? And the answer is yes, but the answer also has a couple of provisos. First of all, the power of the state of Missouri to issue subpoenas to compel witnesses. I issue subpoenas all the time. I have to go through the court to do it. The way that happens is the power ends at the state line. So if someone's over in Illinois, technically I can't compel them to come over into Missouri to testify. I can't even serve them in Illinois or wherever Kim Gardner might be, because at that point the Missouri power doesn't go there. But if they find her, they can actually issue a subpoena from the state where she's hiding out and serve her and, yes, compel her to come back to the state of Missouri. I want to switch gears here because we have Hans von Spakovsky. You know Hans. He's the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, and he's joining us this afternoon here on 97.1 FM Talk. Hans, it's great to talk to you again.
Brad, it's nice to have you on for a change. I like you talking to Andy, but talking to you is great too.
Good. Well, I promised producer Brad Range that you and I would not just sit and talk legal speak for the entire hour. We would make it, we're not going to talk about the rule against perpetuities. We're not going to talk about those kind of things. We're going to talk about stuff that matters to Americans.
You can talk about it. You just have to talk about it in a way that I would understand.
Oh, okay. Well, we're just going to skip that part because, in all honesty, I've not once heard the rule against perpetuity since my second year law school. So I'm not going to dive into that, Hans. But what I do want to dive into is this. This has been a monumental Supreme Court session, and there have been some huge cases. A lot of these have already received oral argument, and I just want to briefly touch on 2 or 3 of these with you to get your take, because I so respect your legal analysis and your opinions on, number 1, what the court should do, and number 2, predicting what they actually will do. Now, there's one case in particular I want to start with, and it's called Murphy versus Missouri. And just to give folks an overview, this is the case where the state of Missouri has aligned with other states to sue the Biden administration because the Biden administration was influencing social media companies to ban speech. Because we all know under the First Amendment, it only applies to private companies. It doesn't apply to the federal government. It applies to the federal government, not to private companies, rather. But by working and forcing social media to censor speech, the state of Missouri filed suit. So, Hans, what's your take on the legality of that lawsuit? Will it be successful at the Supreme Court, and what do you anticipate the court doing with that case?
Well, no, I don't think what the federal government was doing was legal. I think it was an out-and-out violation of the First Amendment. And their excuse that, well, we weren't the ones censoring accounts or telling or telling individuals that their opinion was wrong and therefore it has to be restricted. It was the social media companies that we were dealing with and talking to and trying to influence into doing it. Look, any social media company dealing with the federal government, particularly the Department of Justice, the FBI, because the FBI was doing this too, knows that if they don't do what those federal agencies tell them to do, even if there's no overt threats, that if they don't do it, then those federal agencies can land a sledgehammer on their heads.
Yes.
Because the Department of Justice can prosecute them, can go after them. I mean, there's clearly coercion involved here. And I think what the Supreme Court ought to do is to say that these social media companies, private companies, but they were acting as agents of the federal government, and therefore what happened was illegal. Unfortunately, at the oral arguments, like Brett Kavanaugh was making excuses for the government and talking about national security issues and stuff like that, all of which I don't think had anything to do with the kind of censorship that was going on, which was people's opinions about COVID and elections.
And the Hunter Biden laptop, for goodness sake. I mean, talk about your quintessential political issue, and the federal government is not only coercing social media companies to squelch speech using the stick, but they were also, and we know this because Elon Musk has released the records, the federal government paid millions of dollars to these social media companies to bribe them, in essence, to do the bidding of the Biden administration to squelch these political discussions on social media.
No, I agree. But unfortunately, I'm afraid the Supreme Court is going to come back and say that, well, it wasn't the government doing it. They were just trying to persuade the social media companies. There was no coercion involved. And boom, they're going to let them get away with it. That would be a huge, huge mistake by the court.
Yes, it absolutely would. And I respect your analysis, my friend. I'm just hoping that Mr. or Justice Kavanaugh comes to his senses. The other case, and these are sleeper cases that aren't necessarily getting all of the attention of some of the other cases, like the Trump immunity case. Everyone's been talking about that. Not a lot of people have talked about Murthy versus Missouri, or Missouri versus Murthy, but also a lot of people have not been talking about Fisher versus U.S. Now, just briefly, this was a case that was argued at the Supreme Court on April 16, and it dealt with the people who have been charged with the January 6th, I call it a riot. The Biden administration calls it an insurrection. But here's what's interesting. They were all prosecuted under something called the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which is specifically designed for financial crimes. And so one of the January 6th defendants, and by the way, more than 1,300 people have been charged in connection with the January 6th riot. They've been prosecuted under a law designed for financial crimes. Now, the court heard arguments on this. Hans von Spakovsky with the Heritage Foundation. What did you think of the oral argument, and how do you think the court will come down on this issue?
I actually think in this case we may get a good opinion. They seemed very skeptical of stretching that law to what was going on in Congress and on the Capitol grounds. And in particular, part of the argument was that this statute has to do with obstruction of an official proceeding. And the argument has been made that by official proceeding, they're talking about, for example, if Congress is conducting a congressional hearing, they're investigating perhaps what a executive department like the Justice Department has done, and someone inside the Justice Department obstructs that investigation, refuses to turn over documents relevant to that investigation, not just simply criminally trespassing in the congressional building. And I think that's actually a very strong argument that you have to be obstructing some kind of real investigative proceeding or perhaps a trial that's going on, not just this general apply it to anything you do that in any way may interfere with or question what the government is doing. Because, listen, the view the government has now, if I raise serious questions as a whistleblower about what a government agency is doing, why they could potentially charge me with obstructing the official proceedings and going on of that department,
which is preposterous. And what I loved about this, Hans, is that the court, because I listened to the oral argument, the court was diving into one word. I love it when an entire statute comes down to the interpretation of one word, and that one word was otherwise. Because all of the Sarbanes-Oxley talks about financial documents, financial instruments, financial this, financial that, and then it says or otherwise obstruct an official proceeding. And the question is, can or otherwise mean something completely different than what the entire statute is talking about? And of course, we know that that's not the case. But here's what I want to ask you. If we just assume hypothetically that the Supreme Court holds that the prosecutions under the Sarbanes-Oxley Act are invalid and all of those convictions are overturned. Again, no one's talking about this, Hans, but what would be the outcome? What would be the earthquake that would be rocking the United States if the court rules as I think, and I think I'm hearing from you, that you think they're going to do?
Well, keep in mind that of the federal indictment against Donald Trump in the D.C. Circuit, not the classified documents case, but the other one, there are 4 criminal counts against him, and 2 of them are based on that statute.
Yes.
So 2 of them might disappear. The Justice Department has already announced, the U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia, he is, well, I can't use the word I would like to describe him with. He is an obnoxious political hack. He has already said that if the Supreme Court rules against them, and knocks out charges against the many January 6 defendants under that particular provision of federal law, that what he will do is just ask for enhanced punishment under the remaining charges against them so that they won't get out of jail any earlier. And that's the kind of person we have in charge of the District of Columbia, who, by the way, a report just came out saying that he hasn't prosecuted something like 60% of the cases referred to him by law enforcement.
Wow. Talk about selective prosecution.
Yes, sirree.
And of course, we know that selective prosecution is based upon politics, which is outrageous. Justice is supposed to be blind, not looking at how you voted before they determine whether they were prosecuted or not. We're talking to Hans von Spakovsky. You know Hans. He's the senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation. And Hans, in the minute or two that we have left, the third case I just want to briefly touch on with you. It's called Moore versus United States. The details aren't important, but the bottom line is the question is whether the United States government can tax what we call wealth, a wealth tax. Can they tax you based upon what you just inherently own, or can the government only tax you based upon what you earn? How important is this case when it comes to literally freedom from overtaxation from an overburdened, underwater, in-debt federal government?
Let me tell you, this is one of the most important tax cases in the history of the Supreme Court, and nobody has any idea it's before the court. Because if the court rules the wrong way on this, it will open up this huge new avenue that the federal government, and particularly Congress, can use to pass new taxation on Americans, which if liberals get complete control of the government, they'll you and I both know, will do in a heartbeat. So this is a really important case. I hope they come down the right way on this, because if they don't, there will be almost no limits on what the federal government
Can you
do.
imagine what Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren would do if the federal government had the power to tax you based upon what you own? It's outrageous. There would be no limitation to the type of confiscatory actions that the federal government could take to steal all of our wealth.
Yeah, no, I don't think. Look, I think you hit it right on the nose. That is not an exaggeration to talk about how important this case is.
Wow. Well, and I'm glad that we have you out there, Hans, with the Heritage Foundation, keeping track of these legal issues for us. If folks want to follow what you write and your analysis of legal issues, which, again, I give it a AAA rating, how can they find you online?
They can go to heritage.org, heritage.org, or go to the Daily Signal. I write a lot there. That's the electronic newspaper of the Heritage Foundation.
Daily Signal is one of my daily, if not hourly, clicks when I get to work during the workday at my law firm. Always go to thedailysignal.com. Hans von Spakovsky, hey, thanks for joining us this afternoon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Great to talk to you, sir. Hey, after the break, we're going to come back with, you guessed it, the highlight of the day.
And we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Mark Cox here. Did you know the Rockwood School District is a great place to work? They're currently hiring school bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and custodial staff, as well as summer positions for mowers and landscapers. They have openings in Adventure Club, which is before and after school care. They offer competitive pay, flexible work hours, and a rewarding work environment. Discover the Rockwood Advantage and join an amazing team. Go to rsdmo.org/jobs. That's rsdmo.org/jobs. Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Thursday, May 16th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Seating is limited, so go online to retirementkey.com. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you close to retirement or already retired and wondering what to do with your life savings? Are you concerned about more market volatility the closer we get to the election? Would you like to know how linking to the market is smarter and safer than owning the market? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any losses and provide more income than your current plan? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss this event.
Protect that retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Thursday, May 16th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout throughout the country. The Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-254-4574. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-254-4574 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-254-4574 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-254-4574.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
Well, we want your opinion on this today because we're talking a lot of politics and legal angles because Brad Young is filling in today. And we just talked to Hans. The question is, will any of the remaining Trump cases make it to trial before November? Yes or no? We will, of course, feature some of your comments and let you know how this poll turns out at the end of the show today near 3 o'clock. It's the Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll. It is 12:46. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here, and so are St. Louis's conservative thought leaders. St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I'm gonna fight them all. A seven-nation army couldn't hold me back.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Brad Young sitting in today for Annie. And as I teased before the break, it's my favorite part of filling in for the Annie Fry Show. You got it. It's Wiggins America.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins! That's great because it's also my favorite part of the day. This is Wiggins. Yeah, it's the Wiggins America. And today we're going to talk a little politics. We talk about the executive branch a lot, if you haven't noticed. We tend to talk about Donald Trump and Joe Biden as top of the ticket items, and of course they are. But this segment is devoted to the Senate. This is going to be an interesting year, 2024, for both parties going into these Senate elections because it very well could end up 50-50 again. It's very possible, although the map is good for Republicans.
Very good.
It's better for Republicans than it is Democrats. But, you know, we're talking about states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, that Republicans would have to pick off. So I thought what I would do is bring the top 8 most vulnerable senators here. And this is from Roll Call. So I like this article because it's not saying, oh, this state is in play. It's talking about the individual senator, him or herself.
Correct.
And number one, and I'm going to say the name, say the state, and I want to know whether you guys think this has a chance of not only this person getting kicked out of office, but the party flipping the seat. The first one is Bob Menendez, Democrat from New Jersey. Now, he really is the number one most vulnerable senator in the United States Senate.
You know what my nickname is for him is Goldfinger.
Yeah, good job.
It's right. It's Bob Goldfinger Menendez.
The imagery from that will never leave if you paid attention to the FBI breaking into this guy's house and finding that he had suits full of gold bars.
Right. They were sewn into the lining of his coats.
It's like if you're trying to get away with crimes, the thing you don't want to do is that.
Just imagine the FBI agents. That's a sturdy looking hanger.
Yeah, it's titanium is what it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to launder money as far as I understand it. Lining your suit pockets with gold bars is kind of a dead giveaway that you're doing it.
He might have taken that a little too literally.
Well, he really. But I always looked at him as being, because some people I always think of as Bond villains, okay? Like Jeff Bezos could be a Bond villain.
Oh, totally.
You know,
agree.
he's got his own rocket company. He's a billionaire. He can go into space, whatever. But I look at Bob Menendez as the Bond villain's stupid brother.
The henchman.
I was going to say,
No, I don't even think he's a henchman,
No,
because
not-
even the
okay.
henchmans are tough. He's like a Bond villain's stupid brother that wants to be a Bond villain. He's got the idea, but he's just not bright enough to pull it off.
he's like a Johnny English villain.
Yeah. But it's
you know,
not
this
even
is-
it's not even that China was giving him money, because like half of these politicians are probably getting Chinese money somehow.
Of
He was
course.
getting it from Egypt.
Right.
Like what? What's happening there that you need?
Because the Chinese government said, you're too stupid. We don't
I
want
guess,
to go down with you. But Egypt is like, we'll take whatever senator we can bribe.
Let's see about New Jersey. How about New Jersey?
That sounds good.
So they got him. And he's still trying to run, though. He is not going to be the Democrat nominee.
No.
He is trying to stay in the race, though, as an independent.
Let's hope.
But he still needs to submit 800 signatures by June 4th.
Right.
Apparently, that's his big hurdle.
Well, maybe he could give them strips of gold to
Possibly.
sign.
Yeah,
to
just
sign
shave
them
off
on.
a little bit.
Shave off a little strip of gold and say,
I
here
think
you
that
go.
might be illegal, too, though.
And that would be a problem for him. Why? Why would that be a problem for him?
I mean, it's a good point. So he is the most vulnerable of all the senators. And my question for you guys is, New Jersey, possibility for a GOP flip there?
No. I don't. It's New Jersey. But I think the only way that the GOP picks up New Jersey, which, as I recall, they almost got the gubernatorial race a couple of years ago. They were very, very close. But I think what you'd have to have is Menendez getting on the ticket as an independent. And if that's the case, you're going to have some really stupid voters who would vote for him because they recognize the name. And then by doing that, it would split the ticket and would allow for a Republican to get elected. If he doesn't make the ticket as an independent, I would find it to be very challenging for the Republicans to win in New Jersey.
I don't see how, even if he makes the ticket, he splits the vote enough for Republicans to win it. Because
You know what? Even if it's 5%, though,
but
they
he's
say that's
struggling to get
within the
800
polling.
signatures.
I mean,
I don't know if that's enough.
That's a good point, Brad. That he can't get. Let's just hope there are 800 people in New Jersey. End of sentence.
Yeah. I was expecting more, but no. That's it.
I mean, that's my hope, because you're right. If there is a chance for the GOP to pick up a seat there, that would probably be the only way that happens. Although people are saying it's a little closer than it has been the last few years. So number 2 is John Tester. He is a Democrat. He is from Montana. You're going to find a theme here that most of these are Democrats defending these seats. John Tester's from Montana. That is typically a Republican state now, but he is personally popular. So do you think there's a chance that the GOP takes that seat, and what chance?
Well, doesn't that really come down to turnout? I mean, at this point, if you've got a lot of Republicans that turn out, even if he's personally popular, you might have an opportunity to knock him out of that position if the turnout is big. If the turnout is low, I think my analysis on it would be the folks who who find him to be personally popular would be more motivated to vote. Folks who stay home, don't vote. He could win by attrition that way.
This is a state that Trump wins big.
Oh, huge.
And so that's why people keep saying, look, he probably should lose this race, but it's Montana. It's a weird, notoriously independent state where they do a lot of crossover voting, like they do in West Virginia, for instance. Although that's one that's not on this list that they're saying is pretty much a shoo-in for the Republicans.
Oh, that is a shoo-in.
Yeah.
West Virginia is a shoo-in because Joe Manchin, but very similar. He was very popular. He was a very conservative Democrat. But as you've seen, the Democrats move very, very quickly to the left on this, particularly with whether it's the Palestinian protests, whether it's a whole range of issues, peaceful protests, all of the issues that are dragging the Democrat Party to the left, the green agenda, the anti-oil, anti-coal agenda, the elimination of gas stoves, the push to get electric vehicles only, all of that pushes the party to the left, particularly in West Virginia, which means that if the Republican has a pulse, he's going to win that vote or win that race.
Exactly. The next two I'll couple together. They are Sherrod Brown, Democrat in Ohio, and Jackie Rosen, Democrat in Nevada. To me, these are the same way, where if you get huge Trump turnout, you could have coattails that carry the senators, but these are incumbents, so you never know.
Oh, but what I find most fascinating about the race in Nevada is if you look at the polling data, the way that Trump is polling and the Republicans are polling with Hispanics, their numbers are going up, up, and up because one of the most vocal opponents to illegal immigration are Hispanics.
Yes.
They are, by and large, against it, particularly the ones that came here legally. And because of that, I think that is prime real estate in Nevada for a Republican turnover.
Number 5 and 6, again, both Democrats defending their seats here. Bob Casey, Democrat in Pennsylvania, and Tammy Baldwin, Democrat in Wisconsin. I don't see the GOP picking these two up. I just think these are two left-leaning states. Even if Trump does well, there's going to be enough that hang on for the Democrats.
I could see
here.
Wisconsin before Pennsylvania.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Polling-wise, that backs it up too.
Absolutely.
And the final two on this list are the only Republicans. Now we're down to 7 and 8 that are defending seats here. Ted Cruz of Texas and Rick Scott of Florida. Any chance of those guys losing their seats this year?
I can't see Ted Cruz. I really can't see Rick Scott losing his seat. Florida is deep red. Deep red.
Texas typically is too. It's moved toward being a more competitive state in the last few cycles. So I could see this becoming an issue for him in 6 years. I don't see it an issue
Not with
for
the
him
border.
this year at all.
I think it comes down to whether it rains in Austin on Election Day.
yeah, exactly.
That's really what it's going to come down to.
Yeah. So if you want a summary here, if the Republicans are able to pick up a seat in Montana, Nevada, Arizona, or Ohio, let alone Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, they'll have more than 51 seats.
Correct.
So
And that's what we need.
It is a good map for them.
And that's exactly what we need, is to have a clear Republican majority in the U.S. Senate. And we wouldn't have Mitch McConnell. It would be someone else. Probably John Thune would be the Senate Republican leader. But we'll have to wait and see. Hey, this is the Annie Fry Show. You know that. That's why you're listening. Brad Young sitting in today. We'll be back right after this on 97.1 FM Talk.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
At Lakeside Renovation and Design, our secret sauce isn't just the tools we use or the materials we choose. It's our people. We're not just builders. We're local craftsmen, highly skilled in our trades. Our team takes immense pride in transforming homeowners' visions into reality. We're not just in the business of remodeling. We're in the business of making homes more beautiful, comfortable, and valuable. What sets us apart? Integrity and honesty. Our craftsmen exceed expectations because we care. Lakeside, where every nail, every cut, every detail is a testament to our commitment to you.
If you have an IRS problem, getting accurate legal advice could help get this all behind you right now. Hi, I'm local attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm. The IRS made new changes that make it easier to settle your IRS debt for a reduced amount. Not all our clients qualify, but under the IRS's new Fresh Start program, you may be able to resolve your IRS problems quickly and for less money. But don't wait. An IRS problem is a legal problem. You need someone who understands both the IRS and the law. Don't trust your tax problems to some TV personality. The Drury Law Firm has handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years, and your first visit is completely free and confidential. And I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it will cost. So if you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120, or go to LanceDruryLaw.com. If you have IRS issues, you need a local attorney. You need me, Lance Drury.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk.
We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Israel's prime minister says they'll stand alone if they have to. Elisa Brady, Fox News. In remarks a short time ago, Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu also saying they'll fight with their fingernails if needed, after President Biden said the U.S. will not provide certain offensive weapons for an assault on the southern Gaza city of Rafah. The White House says that won't lead to an enduring defeat of Hamas.
Any kind of major Rafah ground operation would actually strengthen Hamas's hands at the negotiating table, not Israel's. That's our view.
But National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby also says a final decision on high payload bombs has not been made and that the U.S. isn't walking away from Israel. Some Senate Republicans disagree.
Literally from day one, the Biden White House has been undermining Israel at every step of the way.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz among those urging the administration to reconsider a hold on some weapons shipments and proposing a resolution condemning the move. In the House, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar facing a censure motion after calling some Jewish college students pro-genocide. The family of an Air Force airman killed in Florida wants more information after Okaloosa County
and dignity. Okaloosa County Sheriff Eric Aiden said previously a deputy reacted in self-defense to an armed man when he responded to a disturbance, adding later they are trying to understand the facts.
Fox's Gernal Scott. America is listening to Fox News.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative NBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Now, this is more like it. Lots of sunshine this afternoon, some puffy cumulus clouds out there, windy and low humidity, 72 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 51. Friday, sunny and nice, 68. Chilly Friday night, going down to 49. Weekend looks great. Saturday, sunny, 72. Sunday, Mother's Day, partly sunny and 78. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Annie here, inviting you to join us at Tamarack Golf Club for the St. Clair County Republicans' 4th Annual Chairman's Golf Tournament. It's Friday, May 17th. We'll be there doing the Annie Fry Show live. Let's turn St. Clair County red together. Sign up now at 971talk.com/events. Saving on windows at Window World is as simple as shopping at Window World because they care deeply about making sure that you get quality at a great price. That's why they say simply the best for less. Call 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800 and talk to them about replacement windows that are so durable. They can stand behind their window at the showroom. They'll actually stand on top of the window. They care about quality. They're not going to sell you some, crap window or whatever so you can save. You get a great quality window at a great price. And the other thing that they do that is really important to me, they're not going to put you through the rigmarole, the high pressure situation to try to make you feel like you have to buy the window in order to get them out of your house. They don't do that. They know other people do it and other people hate it. That's not what happens at Window World. Enjoy a lifetime warranty that doesn't just cover parts and glass breakage. Of course it does. They also include labor. Check the lifetime warranty on other windows and see if they include labor. A lot of them don't. 314-993-1800. You can find them online right now by visiting them at windowworld.com.
If you had a crystal ball, you wouldn't agonize over when to sell your home. You just ask, should I sell while my home's value is sky high? Or wait and hope the bottom doesn't drop out of the housing market? The thing is, I'm not ready to move. You don't need a crystal ball with Truehold's Sell and Stay program. You can literally sell now and stay in your home as long as you like. When you sell your home to Truehold for its best current value, you can fully cash out your home's equity. And you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Truehold pays property taxes, insurance, and maintenance too. Truehold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get an offer now while your home's value is sky high and use the money to secure your retirement, pay off bills, or finance your dreams. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's current best value without moving. That's Truehold.com. Go to Truehold.com now. That's Truehold.com.
What better way to support your nutrition than with the multivitamin that was created right here in St. Louis? Neovitin Original Multivitamin was created by St. Louis physician Dr. Ribicki to support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Now, Neovitin Original Multivitamin is formulated with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Ribicki's proprietary blend to give you nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Neovitin is now conveniently available through our no-obligation monthly subscription. Cancel or pause at any time, and shipping is free. Support your nutrition with a subscription to Neovitin at neovitin.com today.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. So tell them today, I love you. Get screened. It could help save their life. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a car wreck, you need the best. Let us make your case our cause. Car accident? Call Onder Law for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome to the Friday edition of the Annie Fry Show. Brad Young sitting in today.
Today's Thursday.
That's great that it's Friday already.
Is it Friday? Thursday. You know, so I'm ready for the weekend.
So am I.
It's the Thursday edition of the Annie Fry Show. Very, very sorry. And I was working late last night at KMOX. Didn't get much sleep, so cut me some slack.
That's why we call her Annie Thurs.
Exactly. So it's Thursday. Sorry. I'm drinking water. I assure you that's what's in the cup over here. Brad Young sitting in for Annie today, and glad you are with us. We've, of course, joined, as always, by Ryan Wiggins.
Hi.
Hello. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, too.
And Brad Range.
We're just going to skip over the fact that he said Annie Thurs.
Don't worry about it. I just like to slip that stuff in.
It's the worst joke ever.
It's bad. It's
well,
so
I
bad.
heard it. I just didn't think it was worth commenting on.
It's not.
No, it needs to be pointed out and shamed.
That's going to be the name of this hour on the podcast.
Very good. Very good. Annie Thurs. Okay. So it is Thursday. Yes. So one of the things I wanted to talk about in this segment is this. I've been a very, very vocal critic of how the police have been responding to all of these protesters on college campuses, because they're running around talking about they've got a First Amendment right, which they do. But what no one seems to understand, not only do the protesters not understand this, but the police apparently don't understand this, is that the Supreme Court has what's called time, place, and manner restrictions on the First Amendment. What does that mean? Very simple. Time. Let's break them down. Time. You have the right to express your opinion, but you don't have the right to express your opinion with a bullhorn at 3 o'clock in the morning because there can be time restrictions on that. Okay. Now, this issue was decided, I think it was like in the 1940s in the case of Cox versus New Hampshire, 9-0 Supreme Court decision. And place, you have the right to express your opinion in a place that is designated for you to express your opinion, but you don't have the right to express your opinion anywhere. When you look at all of these college campuses, whether it's a public or a private university, they're private property. And so I can't go out and camp. If I went out there and camped at WashU in support of a pro-life movement and I pitched a tent, someone's going to come and haul my carcass away because I don't have the right to occupy private property when I'm not allowed to do so. So there's time, place, and manner. How do I exercise that speech? That means I can express my opinion, but that doesn't mean I have the right to erect plywood, to put up fencing, to stop the police, to barricade the police, to barricade buildings, to allow people to have access to secure buildings like the St. Louis Board of Aldermen President Megan Green did. She used her access card for Washington University to allow people into secured areas, protesters into secured areas. So time, place, and manner, all of those things can be restricted according to the U.S. Supreme Court. So when someone is camping at 2 o'clock in the morning in a private property, you go up to them and you say, I'm sorry, you have to leave. If you don't, you're under arrest. It's that simple. But yet the police aren't doing it. Cities aren't enforcing it. Universities are not enforcing it. That's how the First Amendment works. So I've been very critical of that. Now, why am I going down that road? Because you remember when you took driving classes or if you just learned how to drive when you were a kid? I started driving when I was 12, Southern Illinois. They don't care what you got a license or not where I grew up. So my dad said, listen, if your car starts to swerve, it's rain or snow, and you're swerving too far one way, don't overcorrect because if you do, you're going to wind up in the opposite ditch. Right. Okay, don't do that. I think that's what the House of Representatives has done with this anti-Semitism bill. Here's what passed last week. It passed by an overwhelming majority to try to give the government a way to arrest protesters based upon the content of their speech. That automatically rings
It makes me
alarm
skeptical,
bells.
yeah. But I haven't looked into this, so I'm glad to hear this.
Right. So here's what the bill does. It basically adopts what was called, it's called the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, and it adopts the position of the International Holocaust Alliance in terms of what does it mean to be anti-Semitic. And built into this, it prohibits any depiction of Jews, and it gives actual examples of how this would apply. So one of the examples is, it includes, and I'm quoting here, accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Jewish person or group, unquote, and making, quote, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews, such as, or for the power of the Jews as a collective, unquote. So basically, it lines up all of these elements that say if you say something that is offensive to Jews, then it's not criminal prosecution, but it creates the possibility of civil liability. But the problem I have, and this is the question I have for the room here this afternoon, is instead of prosecuting the protesters for what you can prosecute them for, which is violation of time, manner, and place restrictions that are allowed by the First Amendment that are content neutral. It doesn't matter if you're an anti-abortion advocate or you're a pro-Palestinian advocate. Either one doesn't matter. You violate time, manner, and place restrictions, you go to jail. It's not based on the content of their speech. But this anti-Semitism bill is based on the content of your speech, and doesn't that automatically violate, even from a layman's perspective, doesn't that violate the concept of the First Amendment freedom of speech?
I would think that it does. Anytime I hear a law like this or a bill that I agree with, I always ask the question, well, how can this be used negatively? Because in the moment, I might like what it's accomplishing, but it's down the road when somebody I disagree with might be able to twist it and use it for a different reason that I don't. A great example is when Democrats under Harry Reid got rid of the filibuster for their own purposes at that moment. If you were a Democrat in that moment, you should have screamed
Yes,
bloody murder.
this is terrible.
Don't do that.
Yep.
Because then right away, your enemies, in this sense, the Republicans, were able to use it to get 3 Supreme Court justices almost right away. I mean,
Correct.
right after Harry Reid did that.
Ultimately leading to the repeal of Roe v. Wade.
Exactly.
Yes.
So when we talk about these laws, at the moment, I hear this and I say, good, that sounds great. But what after this moment could it be used negatively for?
Mm-hmm.
And you said a few things there, but the one that really jumped out at me was anything that is deemed to be dehumanizing. Well, that is really broad.
It's vague.
It's very broad and vague, and it's the kind of thing that could be then reinterpreted and reinterpreted and reinterpreted to be many other groups in other situations. And I don't like when Republicans are jumping on this because politically they see an opportunity here to say, look, we're the good guys. And guess what? You're right. You are, in this situation, the good guys. The good guys are saying, let's not support Hamas. Like, it's real clear. So being on the right side of this is not difficult. But I don't like when the government then, and your representative, says, well, let's take this opportunity to even push it further and show that we're doing something active, which is what this sounds like to me.
Right. And so I'm all in favor. Listen, any speech that's hateful towards Jews, I'm against. I'm against it personally. I'm against hate speech morally, ethically, religiously, from a faith-based perspective. Any adjective you want to put in there, it's wrong, it's reprehensible, and it's repugnant. However, if we get to the point where we can now prosecute, and this is a civil case, but you still prosecute civil cases, that you prosecute a speech based upon the content of the speech, then at that point it becomes a slippery slope. Let me give you a great example. Right now in Canada, the way Canada has defined hate speech is that if you as a church read passages from the Bible that specify that homosexuality is a sin, simply a pastor stating that homosexuality is a sin, that pastor can be prosecuted based upon the content of what he is saying. And religious speech in the United States has one of the greatest First Amendment protections. Canada doesn't have a First Amendment, and so you just read from the Bible, you can go to jail. Now, look in the United States. People are looking at it, and some of the Republicans who have voted against this anti-Semitism bill have pointed out, look, according to this bill and the wording of this bill, if you say that there were the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees turned Jesus over to be prosecuted, that could be construed as being hate speech and could allow you to be prosecuted civilly for simply reading what is in the Bible. And that's the problem we get into when you want to punish the content of speech as opposed to instead of prohibiting the manner, the time, place, or manner in which that speech is distributed.
My frustration with this, too, is, and I'm going to take kind of a little different tact here, but I want to know who these people are. So I don't think your speech should be restricted. The solution to hate speech is more speech.
Absolutely.
Let them say it. Let them reveal who they are. Let them say who they really are so that people can say that, counter it, and prove them. And that way we can take bad ideas and relegate them to the dustbin of history.
Absolutely.
We can put them away. Like, let them say their piece, blow it up with logic, blow it up with truth, and then get rid of it.
Yes.
I mean, let the truth beat it. You don't need a law. And like you both have said this, they will find a way. Politicians will find a way to leverage this for power so to help them. And you've already pointed out, Brad, that there are more options for police forces to use than needing a new law. You don't necessarily need a new law.
You don't
just
need
enforce
anything.
You just enforce the laws that are on the books already, and you can take care of this.
You can. And you also don't need to take care of it by content of the speech.
Right.
You could take care of it by things that are irrelevant for content. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day who was telling me, I was talking about this very topic, and she told me that she was protesting abortion clinics in the 1990s and that they had her stand across the street on the sidewalk, and that was the only place that she could protest the abortion clinic. And I said, well, legally, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I want to point out is look at the hypocrisy between then and today. Because then the police were saying, listen, pro-life supporter, listen, anti-abortion protester, you have to stand across the street if you want to protest this abortion clinic. But the protesters today are given free rein wherever they want to go, whenever they want to go, doing whatever they want to do. But oh my goodness, if you're a pro-life supporter, you can go across the street. That shows the hypocrisy based upon the content of the speech, that if we agree with it, college, university, we're going to let you burn flags on the quadrangle at 3 o'clock in the morning. But if we don't like your content of your speech, pro-life advocate, you can go across the street.
Well, there's a reason why these things have cropped up on college campuses.
Yes.
It's because they know, well, this is a safer area for me.
This is the long play, though.
This is and if these people, even if these people don't completely agree with me, there are enough people here who are loud.
Yes.
Even within the faculty of a college.
Of course.
Because it may not be that 80% of people, even on a college campus, may disagree with these. I've seen polling that suggests as such. But you have 20% of those people. And look, we're talking about Democrats here. We're not talking about any conservatives on a college campus faculty.
No.
There are very few. We're talking about predominantly liberal people. But even they may not agree with the protests. But there are 20% who are very loud, and they make a lot of decisions at those schools. And they know that if we protest here, we'll have some cover. It's going to take a lot more for the police to come here.
But not only are they loud, and this speaks to the hypocrisy, they're useful.
Yeah.
How are these people useful to the people in power to help them maintain power? Always look at that, because that's the play.
The other thing I'm really disappointed in, surprise, surprise, the leftists who don't support this stuff, they need to be louder. You really, those people, the people that are on the left but are not supporting this, they have allowed this to happen.
Yes, they have.
And it's not just this issue either. It's things like immigration. Mm-hmm. You people could have stopped this from day one by saying, no. It's not compassionate to have an open border, for instance, or any other lots of issues that this could have applied to. But they're just silent because they've kind of allowed this stuff to fester, and they don't really know what to do with it now. And now here we are in this situation.
Right. So I don't think that this bill, this anti-Semitism bill, is ever even going to get a floor vote in the U.S. Senate. So if you look at it from this perspective, it's just more of a ceremonial position. Okay, if you want to take a position against anti-Semitism, I'm right there with you. I agree. Anti-Semitism is wrong, and it should be called out. But if this were to become law, I would probably vote against it if it were up and I were voting on it, because we should not be controlling the content of speech, because the content that we don't like that's being controlled can eventually be used to content the speech, or to try to control the content of speech that we do agree with.
That's a great spotlight. Can I ask you, do you know why this won't get a floor vote in the Senate?
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever see the light of day, because the Senate won't want to take a position on it. Yeah. Members of the Senate, it would have to get 60 votes in order to pass out of a committee, and there's no way that this gets 60 votes, because people don't want to take a position, I think, in the U.S. Senate, even though it's very popular right now to support Jewish people in Congress. I don't think they want to have a vote on a bill that they know is going to be instantly overturned by the courts. I just don't see
that was going to be my next question. Would this withstand scrutiny in the courts?
A first-year law student could get this overthrown. It would be that simple. And so that's why I don't think it will ever see the light of day. What will see the light of day, though, is coming up next, Mark Denzler. He's the president and CEO of the Illinois Manufacturers Association. He's going to talk about carbon capture technology in Illinois and why it's beneficial economically. Brad Young sitting in for Annie Fry. Stick around next on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
We're entering remodeling season. If you've considered new windows, let me recommend my friends at Window World. Mark Cox here. Here's the great thing about Window World. Not just the preferred window of our hometown St. Louis Blues, they're now the official window of the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. So if you're considering replacement windows, this is the company you want to work with. I'm a satisfied customer. I've got 2 other windows in my master bathroom. We couldn't be happier with those. They have a lifetime warranty that covers all the parts, all the glass breakage and labor. There's a reason why in just over 20 years of business, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of 72,000 plus customers in the greater St. Louis area. A Window World is fantastic. The windows are so durable. Not only do they stand behind their windows, at the showroom, they actually stood on a window right in front of me. You're going to love it. 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800 or windowworld.com.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. RAMP.com/free.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. Is yours? Did you know that there's an R value associated with insulation? To find out your R value or for free insulation estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Thursday afternoon, it's Tim Graham from the Media Research Center. He was on Capitol Hill on Wednesday testifying about the defunding of NPR.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Speaking of Annie Fry, as most of you know, Annie is currently in Washington, D.C., and Brad Range, you were telling me that there's a D.C. trip scavenger photo hunt? Tell us about that.
We've assigned our listeners to give us ideas or pictures for Annie to take, and she's already started on this. We did this a little bit yesterday. We're working on uploading some of these photos, so you want to be subscribed to the Annie Fry Show, the Annie Fry YouTube page. We'll put it up there. We'll give you a shout-out if it's your picture or whatever. Like one example was they said, hey, get a picture of you by a cannon at Gettysburg. I said, hey, get a picture of your reflection in the reflection pool at the D.C. Monument. So if you guys have any of those, you can either at Annie on Twitter, at Annie Fry Show, and put your suggestion there. Or what you can do is you can just leave them in the chat on the Annie Fry YouTube page, and I will write them down, get those to Annie, and we'll get those pictures taken, and we'll get them uploaded. So that's the scavenger hunt. She's wanting more stuff.
Got it. Well, the dad joke in me would say I would want to see her posing next to the Washington Monument and acting like she's holding it up. Like the Tower of Pisa kind of a thing where I'm holding up the Washington Monument here. But again, that's because I like dad jokes. But also before we move on, I want to remind folks we've got that YouTube live chat poll going on, right, Mr. Range?
Yes. Will any of the remaining Trump cases make it to trial before November? Yes or no? And whenever you do that, go ahead and leave a comment on the YouTube chat. Let us know why you voted the way you voted. We want to hear your answers. We might feature those later on in the show.
And we will be talking about this poll very, very soon. But I want to welcome in, and I mentioned it before the break, Mark Denzler. He's the president and CEO of the Illinois Manufacturers Association. And there's something going on in Illinois called carbon capture technology. Hey, Mark, welcome to 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, thanks so much, Brad. And before we get into carbon capture, maybe Annie can pose in disguise at the National Spy Museum. That would be my suggestion.
I would be.
I have it, not in the new location, the old location, but it's very cool. A history of spying throughout the history of the United States and the world.
Yeah, I went to the old location, and when I heard that they built a new place, I wanted to go there because the old place had so many cool things that the CIA had declassified. So this isn't like a James Bond make believe stuff. This was real stuff at the Spy Museum, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very neat stuff. And like I said, when they declassified and you read about some of these amazing stories and things that have occurred throughout our history, it was fascinating.
Yeah, so that's going to be my suggestion as well. Annie, be at the Spy Museum. So, Mark, you're the president and CEO of the Illinois Manufacturers Association, and there's something that caught our eye here called carbon capture technology. What is this, and what does it mean to Illinois?
Yeah, we have a great opportunity, Brad. It's really a win-win for the state of Illinois. So when you think about it, this is an economic opportunity, some more jobs and investment, while at the same time, we're also helping the environment. And so this technology has been around for a long time, well more than a decade, where essentially we can capture carbon and reduce emissions. We then store it underground, and essentially it becomes rock again once you insert it under the ground. And so, again, it's an economic development play and reduce our emissions. And the importance of it for Illinois is that we happen to be located on what geologists term the best geology in the country, and in some cases in the world. We have Illinois and Kentucky and Indiana something called the New Albany Shale, the Mount Simon Shale play. It's about a mile deep, and it's a layer of shale that we can essentially inject this carbon back underground. It solidifies over time. And again, we have a cleaner environment. And for the manufacturing sector, who have, there are state goals and there are national regulations. So whether it's your automaker or it's your electric generation or an ethanol plant, they can then capture their carbon emissions and store it underground.
Well, I have to tell you, I was born and raised in a very small coal mining town in southern Illinois. And my dad was a coal miner. I went down in a coal mine when I was a kid. And I can only imagine now how many laws were being broken when a 12-year-old was running around unsupervised in the bottom of a coal mine. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, Mark, is when those coal mines went out of business, there were cities that were devastated that even to this day have not recovered from the loss of those jobs. Is this a program, certainly not to the extent that coal mines provided job opportunities across southern Illinois, but is this an opportunity to kind of get to regain even a portion of some of those jobs based upon the natural geography of southern and central Illinois?
It really is the opportunity. Look, we want decarbonization, but we don't want deindustrialization. And so when you look at energy jobs, you look at the Prairie State Energy Campus in Nashville, for example, that's doing this, or you look at ADM in Decatur that's doing this. Large manufacturing, energy producing facilities that if they're not able to use this innovative technology, there are rules that will essentially shut down some of those facilities potentially if they can't meet these climate goals. And so, and politicians on one hand can't mandate and say you have to reduce emissions and then tie your other hand behind your back and say, hey, but you can't use this safe and proven technology. And so what we're asking the General Assembly to do, really put some smart and sensible regulation. We want to make sure you protect the landowners. We want to make sure emergency providers or responders have any training that they may need. And so, again, we want to make sure that farmers and landowners who are going to have wells under them, that, these companies work with them and they own the land and they own the rights below it and they get properly compensated for that. But again, the jobs you talk about, the energy sector or manufacturing, if we don't have these smart and sensible regulations and these facilities are forced to close because of government mandates, then we're going to lose more of those jobs.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we're talking to Mark Denzler. He's the president and CEO of the Illinois Manufacturers Association. And if folks want more information here about how they can find out about this carbon capture technology, but even more importantly, what jobs might result from this type of technology, how can they get more information on this and about the Illinois Manufacturers Association in general?
Yeah, so you can go. We have a website. It's capturejobsnow.com. They can go there. They can sign up for alerts, contact their legislators. They can always go to the Illinois Manufacturers Association website and take a look at it there. But the other interesting approach to this is we have a big coalition. We have business together with our friends in organized labor. We have agricultural groups like the corn growers. And so we have a very broad and diverse coalition. It's not all the time that you see business and labor on the same page. Why? Because we're fighting for jobs. You look at the unions, you think about, the union jobs that are building pipelines and electricians. And so we have a unique coalition. It's very broad-based and diverse, and encourage folks to go to Capture Jobs Now, weigh in, let your legislators know that you support economic development and reduced emissions in Illinois.
Very good. Mark Denzler, hey, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Thank you, and we'll look forward to those pictures at the Spy Museum. Have a great day, Brad.
I'll be looking for those as well. Good to talk to you, Mark. Mr. Brad Range, I want to open this up conversation here because we talked about the poll a few moments ago. Will any of the remaining Trump cases make it to trial before November? And obviously, we're going to get into the results of the poll later in the show, but at least at this point, how do you see this happening? What are your thoughts on the various cases and what's going to get to trial and what's not going to get to trial? How do you see this playing out?
Well, I think the ones that are in trial before November are already in trial. That's it. That's the only ones.
That's it. And there's only really one.
Yeah, that's this current one in the New York, the quote-unquote hush money trial. That one's actually in trial. I think it's a clown show, but I digress. I think that Fani Willis is under a lot of scrutiny down in Georgia. The appeals court, I heard today, just agreed to hear an appeal on whether or not she should be removed from that case.
Yes, and that's a really important thing to look at because let me tell you, I believe it or not, and people chuckle when I say this, but lawyers have a lot of ethical rules. We do.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of them. And one of them is this, that if there is a conflict of interest with between two attorneys in a particular case or litigation, the answer to this uniformly is not that one attorney has to leave and the other attorney stays. It's that both attorneys have to leave.
Right.
All right. That's the only way that the conflict is resolved. And so what I thought was very, very interesting in the Trump case with Fani Willis, the judge laid out Georgia law. Now, I'm not an expert on Georgia law, but the judge in the order laid out the fact that Georgia law is just like every other state, that if there's a conflict, that all parties who are involved in the conflict have to go.
Right.
But then after laying out this is what the law requires, the judge then says, well, in this case, since it only applies to Trump is where the conflict is, which isn't true, then only one of you have to leave, not both of you. And that's not how this process works. So that's why I think that the Court of Appeals took this up. If the Court of Appeals agreed with the judge's order, there would be no reason to accept the case.
Right.
It was a voluntary acceptance of an appeal.
Right.
Because this is something that's called an interlocutory order. An interlocutory order means it doesn't impact the outcome of the case, it only impacts a certain element of the case.
Right.
So any appeal from that is voluntary, it's not mandatory. So the court didn't have to take this, but they chose to take it, which tells me if they agreed with what the judge did, they wouldn't have taken it at all.
Yeah.
So the only reason to hear it is to change what the judge ultimately ruled.
So if she's removed from that case, that at the very least, that case is going to go to a different prosecutor and it's going to set everything back.
It's going to start from scratch.
Right. So it has to start all the way over. There's no way they get that rolling before November.
Impossible.
Or nobody takes it and the case is dead.
Correct. Or it could be that it's assigned to a new prosecutor and the new prosecutor says, I don't really see that this is election tampering.
Yeah.
I've listened to the phone call. It was obvious that when he said, find me some more votes, he was talking about counting votes, making sure that no votes are being destroyed, making sure that the votes are being accurately tallied. There was no discussion or inference that it was go and manufacture me votes. And so with that, a new prosecutor could look at it and say, I don't think there's anything here. I'm not going to prosecute.
Or this isn't even RICO.
Correct.
So I look at that case and I go, okay, well, that one's, for lack of a better term, on life support. And I don't think like the appeals process is going to push it back. You just made the point that the appeals court probably wouldn't have taken it if they're not going to rule and change the ruling and remove her. So if she gets removed, that changes everything. At the very least, it'll be postponed until after. Judge Cannon down in Florida has paused I don't quite understand this one, but she has paused the ruling or the trial indefinitely.
Right. There was a May 20 trial date. That's actually the case, and I can go into this at a different time, but that's actually the case where I think that Trump has the most vulnerability to be convicted and have that conviction sustained is on the document case in Florida. But the judge there was a trial date set for May 20. She removed it because of ongoing discovery issues, ongoing depositions, ongoing interrogatories. So she simply scrapped the date, and instead of resetting it for a new date, she simply said to be determined, TBD. So it's indefinite. We don't know when and under what circumstances this case will be set for trial, but when it does get set for trial, it will be months and months out from when that date is assigned. And so even if she were to decide next week, okay, here's the new trial date, it would be after November.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Yeah. And then the D.C. case, I'm going to look at this one and say, friend of the show, Will Scharf, actually got to argue in front of the Supreme Court on the immunity. And when they went before the Supreme Court, they narrowed their argument down to official acts or something to that effect, that the president has immunity for official acts. Well, if the Supreme Court rules, yes, we do agree with that premise, then that has to get kicked back down to lower courts to determine what acts are official acts and what acts are not.
You got it exactly right.
And that delays the case past November.
Correct. So I do think that that's going to be the line the Supreme Court's going to draw, is that the president does have some immunity. It's not unlimited immunity, but that does have some immunity. And so now the trial court has to determine whether the acts that the president did, which was basically give a speech, he didn't incite crime, he didn't incite a riot, he didn't incite violence, he simply gave a speech, whether that constitutes an official act or not. And all of that would take years to get through the court system. So I don't see any way that case gets to trial.
Yeah. So I'm a no. I don't think any of these will get to trial before November. They're going to finish this one up here in New York, and that's going to be that, and that's what they're going to get through.
And if folks want to chime in with their opinion on this topic, how can they do that?
They can go to youtube.com. I think it's youtube.com/@AnnieFry, and you'll find our live stream there. You can vote in the poll there, and you can leave a comment in the chat about why it is you voted the way you voted.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Range. I'm Brad Young today, sitting in for Annie Fry. We're going to be back with more of the Annie Fry Show next on 97.1 FM Talk.
No matter how hard you try, keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away. It's so unreal. Didn't look out below.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
The Retirement Advisory Group is having another Protecting Your Retirement educational event, and I want you to come. Are you going to be there? When you go online to retirementkey.com, you are going to have access to sign up for the May 16th, it's a Thursday this time, event at the Frontenac Hilton. And when you sign up for the Protecting Your Retirement educational event, you are going to, for free, get to listen to Thomas Helbig and Bob and Tammy Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group explain what it is that you need to do to make those maneuvers to enjoy that worry-free retirement. I'm going to get there. Mark Cox, Mark Reardon will be there as well, starting at about 6 o'clock. And we just get to spend about 30 minutes meeting you guys and learning your names and getting to know you a little bit. And at 6:30, we turn it over to the Retirement Advisory Group folks. And they spend about 45 minutes talking to you. It's not a long night. It's free. It's great information. And all you have to do is go online to sign up and reserve your spot today. Find the Retirement Advisory Group and Thomas Helbig for the May 16th Frontenac Hilton event at retirementkey.com.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 500 and get 15% off your first purchase with code 500, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 500 for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 500 to save 15% today.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Del Walmsley and the Wealth Cycle.
This is the wealth cycle that I've taught for 30 years. Buy one house, 10 houses, an apartment, 2 apartments, 8, 20, 500 units, 1,000 units, 2,000, 5,000 units. And as you keep putting the money and the profits back in, you become one of those rich people. And much quicker than you'd even believe.
Learn Dell's Wealth Cycle at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Use promo code 2024. Save 60%. Code 2024. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
The YouTube live chat poll of the day. We've just been talking about it. We'll talk about it some more here. Will any of the remaining Trump cases make it to trial before November? We are reading your comments and laughing at some of them. We'll share some of them on the air here in just a few minutes. We'll also give you the results of the poll at the end of the show. Type in Annie Fry in YouTube, and it'll come up. That's the YouTube live chat poll 147. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
It's Pick Your Ticket time on The Mark Reardon Show. Earth, Wind, and Fire in Chicago. Train and REO. The Doobie Brothers. Need to Breathe. And OAR. Listen to win and then pick your show. Pick your ticket on The Mark Reardon Show. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the show. Brad Young in today for Annie. And, of course, we're rejoined by Ryan Wiggins and Brad Range. And, gentlemen, I wanted to throw this topic out because we've sat through a couple of days of Stormy Daniels' testimony. And I wanted to get your feedback on the kind of testimony that was provided. And then I'm going to, after we kind of banter that around a little bit, I'm going to dive in to the topic of whether it was even necessary and how the prosecutors, at least in my opinion, are losing sight of prosecuting any actual crime. But I'm going to go with you, Ryan. What did you think about the testimony you've been reading about or hearing so far from Stormy Daniels?
It's headline generating on purpose.
Yes,
is the way that I've seen it, because it does make people pay attention to it.
Yes,
which seems to me to be the only reason why she was brought in. When you see I'm sorry, there's no way to talk about the news without using these terms. When you see a porn star walking across your news feed, it makes you pay attention because you're like, this is something weird happening.
Yes.
Now, we all know her story, but still, she's been in TV shows. She's been in regular TV shows. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Party Down before.
Never.
But a whole bunch of stars in that show. She was a guest star in that show. So, like, she's actually had some mainstream success in a way, a really weird, backward way. So when you see somebody walk across your television screen like Stormy Daniels, who is a bona fide porn actress, you go, what's that? And America does that. And that is the only reason she gave that testimony, because as I've been reading it, there is nothing that she provided that had anything really to do with the case. But she did get you paying attention to it.
Right. And wasn't that the goal?
That's it. And that is it.
Mr. Range?
Yeah, I'm looking at this and it's like all salacious details and stuff like that. And it's my understanding that this case is about records keeping and how things were written down and whether or not they were written down properly or improperly and whether or not that violates campaign law somehow or another. And I don't see how Stormy Daniels is relevant to any of that other than being the object of the hush money. She received the hush money payment. And like, what does any of the other stuff have to do with it? Can she talk about any of that other stuff?
No, and
right.
Not
None
at
of
all.
the other stuff.
But let's look at whether her testimony was even needed. Let's look at that for a second. Anytime you have evidence, listen, I tried a case 2 weeks ago. I've got another case set for trial in about another 2 weeks. I try a lot of cases, and one of the issues that a judge looks at is this question comes up in every trial: is this piece of evidence more probative than prejudicial? What does that mean? Is that the judge looks at it and puts it on a mental scale and says, does this evidence have anything to do with the subject matter of the trial, or is it simply designed to shock the conscience of the court or the jury? More prejudicial than probative.
So are you saying that the porn star testimony was probative?
I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't, not at all.
I just didn't know which way you're going with it.
I was saying it's more prejudicial than
okay.
probative.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
That
sure.
was why I asked the question.
Well, a great question there. And that would be Ryan Wiggins. And if you have questions, if you want to call Odyssey and...
Nah, don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that. Okay. So the question is it prejudicial or is it relevant to the subject matter? So let's talk about her testimony. I don't mind. Her testimony talked about the time she got together with Donald Trump, what Donald Trump did, what he said, what he was wearing. Okay. As Brad Range just mentioned a few moments ago, this case is about the alleged fraudulent changing of records and documents within the Trump organization. So the details of what he did when he was with Stormy Daniels are wholly irrelevant. In fact, the Trump team had already conceded that there was some event that happened. They didn't say what, but they conceded there was some event that happened with Stormy Daniels. We know that it happened. She was paid for that, to a non-disclosure agreement. She was paid that she couldn't repeat that story. And so that was already admitted to. So there was nothing about her testimony that was relevant in any way, shape, form, or manner to the subject matter of the prosecution, which is documents and the changing of documents fraudulently. Had nothing to do with it. So the testimony in of itself should have been excluded. Now, secondly, did you hear last week that the Harvey Weinstein trial, the convictions that he got were overturned by the New York Supreme Court? If you look at the reasons why, it's a carbon copy of what we're seeing right now with Donald Trump.
Isn't that amazing?
Carbon copy. Because what the judge allowed into evidence was the salaciousness of the evidence from the various witnesses and people who are saying that they were harmed by Harvey Weinstein. And they let in all the information, even though it was completely prejudicial. It was designed to shock the jury, and so the jury would convict Harvey Weinstein. And by doing that, the New York court said it prevented Harvey Weinstein from getting a fair trial. And this was New York. The New York Court of Appeals held this.
This is happening within the same 7 days.
Yes.
In New York.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Okay, so if anything, Judge Merchan in the Trump case should be looking and saying, ultimately the people that decide whether I'm doing this trial correctly, the Court of Appeals has already said, we will overturn your conviction if you allow in prejudicial information that's not relevant to the subject matter of the prosecution. And what does he do? He lets it all in, which is outrageous from a trial court perspective. It's outrageous. And essentially the prosecution is trying to do here, at least in my opinion, is guilt by association. They don't mind that Stormy Daniels comes across as a money-grabbing tramp who's simply trying to get her 5 minutes of fame and extend it out to 20 years.
Which she's done a great job
She's done a great job, all right? And so I think the prosecution doesn't mind it that she's portrayed as a tramp and as a scumbag and all of the adjectives you want to use, because I think their method of madness here is to say Trump was hanging out with her, and so it was guilt by association. If she's scum, so is Trump, and therefore you should convict, which is the exact reason why the Harvey Weinstein trial conviction was overturned, because that's not how we do court.
Tell me if I'm analyzing this wrong, but before talking to you just now, what I was thinking yesterday and the day before when she's talking about this, and it's been in the news, of course, is that they're trying to change this from being a legal trial to a moral trial.
Yes.
In the minds of Americans.
Sure.
They're really not worried about whether the legal part's going to work, because hey, if it does, great, but we might lose that part. But if we're going to lose, if the ship is sinking, let's go ahead and make this a moral trial to remind everybody how bad of a guy he is, which is entirely political at that point.
Yes.
I mean, we already knew that it was, but that's a great example of the spotlight shifting to it becoming purely a show trial for politics.
Correct. Which is why I'm going to make a prediction here. We've got, in the less than a minute we have left, I'm going to make a prediction that Trump is going to continue to violate the unconstitutional gag order. He will do it to the point that he goes to prison, so that he can then say, look, I'm going to prison because of this improper prosecution, and that would overcome any conviction on morality that he would ultimately receive, because he could say, I'm a martyr and I've gone to jail for you. I think ultimately that's what's going to happen.
Wow, that is a bold prediction.
It's a
and
bold
that would
prediction.
be a bold move, too.
I think it's going to happen. We'll wait and see. Brad Young sitting in today. We've got more of the Annie Fry Show coming up next hour. And don't forget, if you haven't had a chance yet to take the poll, go to YouTube live chat poll, type in Annie Fry, and you can vote. We'll break down the results in this hour on the Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
We found the groove. AirComfortService.com, that's the website to visit. If you are looking to make sure that you can save on that AC replacement that you might be having to shop for, yes, it's time to replace the air conditioner. You fixed it before, or you're worried that if they come out to check and see what's wrong with it, you're going to have to fix it, and you can't put it off any longer. The air outside, it's getting warmer. That means the air inside is getting warmer as well. When you shop at Air Comfort Service right now, you could save up to $4,200 with double carrier cool cash rebates on qualifying systems. Make sure that you know exactly how to connect with them by calling them and getting this conversation started. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. They're going to take your phone call. You're going to be glad that you're in hands that you can trust. I myself am a customer, a frequent shopper. It seems like I've replaced pretty much everything HVAC in my home with Air Comfort Service, and you're going to love them. They're great. They care about you as a customer, and it's going to show. Find them online by going to aircomfortservice.com.
Mortgage rates have finally dropped. That's right. Golden Oak has 5.375% fixed rates available right now. Our average cash-out customer saves over $1,000 a month. Call today and take advantage of our 5.375 fixed rate. Call 314-567-GOLD. That's 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing, cured my blues.
5.934 APR. FHA 15-year 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or stored in your cell phone. But call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-254-4574. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-254-4574 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-254-4574 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-254-4574.
Jim Brennan here with McKelvey Homes. Cottleville is booming, and so are the homes at Cottleville Trails. Located just off the new Page Extension, Highway 364 at Guttermouth, we are offering our ever-popular Liberty Series homes with 3-car garages from the 500s. Cottleville Trails is a master plan community featuring 5 lakes, a beach, pool, playgrounds, and extensive trails. Visit McKelveyHomes.com. That's McKelveyHomes.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Trump trial moves on. Lisa Brady, Fox News. A bookkeeper and book publisher taking the stand after Stormy Daniels finished her testimony, challenged by defense attorneys about wanting money, first to tell her story and then instead to keep quiet about her claim of a sexual encounter with then businessman Donald Trump in 2006. She detailed those claims during 2 days on the witness stand.
Once the jury hears something, they hear it. They can't unhear it. That's the issue that we're facing here.
Legal spokeswoman for the former president, Alina Habba, calls the trial a sideshow and election interference. The charges are falsifying business records. President Biden's son, Hunter, will have to stand trial in Delaware on a gun charge.
A federal appeals court has rejected Hunter Biden's appeal of his indictment on federal gun charges. The appeals court essentially saying they have no jurisdiction in the case until a verdict is reached. Biden's attorneys had argued the indictment should not stand because it was covered in a previous plea bargaining agreement with federal prosecutors. But that deal fell apart last July when federal judge Mary Ellen Noriega questioned its legality. Biden is now scheduled to stand trial next month on 3 felony gun charges, including possession of a gun as an illegal substance abuser and lying about it on a federal gun purchase form.
Fox's Jack Callahan. Last month, the judge rejected defense motions to dismiss separate tax charges in California. Israel's prime minister vows to keep fighting Hamas in Gaza, including in Rafah, after President Biden said he won't support offensive weapons for a major operation in that city. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham among the Republicans, urging him to reconsider.
Hamas has put Palestinians in the crosshairs of Israel, so stand Israel down? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my friggin' life.
Senate Republicans introducing a resolution condemning the hold. The administration says there's no final decision yet. America is listening to Fox News.
Moments like hearing my cat purr good morning mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib. Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Now, this is more like it. Lots of sunshine this afternoon. Some puffy cumulus clouds out there. Windy and low humidity. 72 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 51. Friday, sunny and nice, 68. Chilly Friday night, going down to 49. Weekend looks great. Saturday, sunny, 72. Sunday, Mother's Day, partly sunny and 78. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Shopping at Ruler Foods is one of the smartest things you can do to make sure that you're not spending more money. Like, we're spending more money everywhere we go, aren't we? Grocery bills, they just come in repeat. You got to fill the pantry, you got to fill the fridge and the freezer. In the Fry family, we've got 6 mouths to feed, and one of them is a 14-year-old boy. So that's like times 2, right? Ruler Foods saves the day. When it comes time to shop for fresh produce, to make sure that we can still provide our kids with the healthy foods to keep their growing bodies growing healthily, I can trust Ruler Foods to provide really good quality produce that we can enjoy all throughout the family. They also have great selections in their meat department. Frozen foods, all of the name brands that you have come to love and trust, you can get those at Ruler Foods. Did you know they also carry Kroger brands at Ruler Foods prices? Save when you shop at Ruler Foods. Find the one that's closest to you, put your zip code in, and learn about the extra savings this week by visiting rulerfoods.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ziprecruiter.com/radio. That's ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
Are you a business owner? Do you want your voice and the voices of your clients represented? Let us do the talking. Join our community of free thinkers on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Learn more at 971talk.com/partner. The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us, that's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Good afternoon. Brad Young sitting in for Annie Fry today on 97.1 FM Talk. And I have to mention before we go any further with the rest of the show that in the last hour, we had someone on our YouTube live chat post that Anchorman intro takes on a whole new dimension when there's 3 dudes.
Which I've never thought about until they said that. It's very true. If you're just tuning in for the first time and you hear that and you go, oh, this is what the guy's talking, you go, man, okay, all right. Really owning it.
Which one's Annie?
Yeah. Well, that too, yeah.
Annie's got a very husky voice, apparently. But yeah, it takes on a whole new dimension with 3 dudes in the studio. So thank you very much for the poster on that one. And if you want to be a part of this show, you can go to the YouTube live chat. And Mr. Range, I think you said you just go in and type in Annie Fry.
Yeah, if you go to youtube.com/@AnnieFry, or you can go to youtube.com and search Annie Fry in the search bar, and our live stream will pop up. You can go there, click on the live stream. The poll will be one of the options in the chat. Vote on the poll, and then tell us why you voted the way you voted in the chat.
Excellent. And listen, I've got my show over on Camo X, and I have a very robust texting with the show. But the folks who text into the show, they can't see what other people are texting about. So that's what I love about filling in for Annie is that you have such a robust way for the audience to participate in the show.
Yeah, this is almost like a secret club. We don't want it to be secret. We want everybody to come and join, but the chat, everybody interacts with everybody. They have conversations. It's like a party almost in there.
It is. And I'm reading, I've got it right here next to me. I'm reading all of the posts that come in, and during the commercial breaks, we marvel at some of the wisdom. We laugh at some of the idiocy, but it's all entertaining.
There's some good jokes in there too.
They're very good jokes. So anyway, that is a great part of the show, and thank you for participating because as Ryan Wiggins and I were talking during the break, there's no other medium where the audience gets to participate literally in the content and the direction of the show like this show. You can't do it with a podcast. You can't do it with streaming. You can't do it with television. You can't do it with any other medium but this. And that really makes this different than any other medium out there.
Would you say that it was genius that I said that?
I think that you...
Listen, we still have to get his head out of this studio
That's
after
true.
the show, so...
No, I think it would be that you were commenting on something that a genius said, because I think you were responding to what I was talking about.
I think you're right, yeah.
I think so.
But Ryan's like, but game recognizes game, so...
Okay.
Right, yeah. Genius is a genius.
Birds of a feather, right? There you
Right.
go. So one of the other things, speaking of birds, I want to mention this because I'm an Eagle Scout.
Are you?
I am an Eagle Scout, became an Eagle Scout when I was 17, and I was involved in scouting my entire childhood. And I loved every bit of it because there was nothing about scouting. Let me rephrase it. Everything about scouting to me was part of character building, whether it was leadership qualities, whether it was learning that a group of 5 individuals working together can do more than 5 individuals working apart. And so it taught me the concept of synergy. It taught me how to motivate people to work. I mean, I'm running a law firm now. I've got to work with my employees. I've got to keep them happy. I have to motivate them to be productive. I have to correct them when they're wrong. And so that was a life skill that was applicable to being a dad, to being a husband, to working in church committees at my church, wherever it might be in any interaction with people. There needs to be leadership, the ability to work together as a team, the ability to receive instruction from a supervisor. In my instance, was the scoutmaster. I was the senior patrol leader for many, many years. So all of those, I'm just mentioning that because I love scouting. I got a lot out of it. And the last few years have been tough on the Boy Scouts of America, and they announced just this week that they are changing their name.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Effective this week, and it doesn't start until next year. But right now, they've already started the rebranding process, and instead of being the Boy Scouts of America, they're simply going to be called Scouting America. And in the press release from Scouting America, it says that there are currently 176,000 girls and young women that are currently in scouting, and 6,000 have earned the rank of Eagle. And now they're just going to drop the whole Boy Scouts moniker and be simply Scouting America. What do you think about that?
I think that it is a larger conversation about gender ideology, and it cracks me up when I hear leftists say, and I mean prominent people on the left sometimes will say, why do you have such a problem with just letting somebody express their gender in the way that they want? They try to reduce the argument to that when clearly that is not the point.
Yeah, not at all.
That is not the point
Not at
of the conversations that we have almost ever. In not just the show, but like people don't have that conversation. They're having conversations about these kind of things because the point of gender ideology and transformation is not just for individuals. It is to transform society. It is to change institutions like this. And it's a great example of the way that the ideology works in, and then you have to kind of remold the whole system around the ideology.
Yes.
And this is exactly that.
Yes, and this is from the left's perspective, an example of why they do what they do.
Yes.
That's why the protesters are burning down buildings. That's why protesters are taking over college campuses to make the organizations of our society mold around their ideology instead of the ideology that currently exists.
Exactly. And so it is transformative social ideology it's the reason we talk about it.
Yes.
I saw a guy walking down, I kid you not, before the show started, I went out and grabbed Taco Bell. I'm sitting there talking to a buddy of mine, and I see a guy walk by on the streets of St. Louis, and he was wearing cowboy boots and jeans with lots of holes in them, like really, really tight, skinny jeans with lots of holes in them. They was meant to look kind of like cool, but also a little provocative, and a very feminine shirt. And he had no hair, but he had like lots of female makeup on. And I found myself not thinking about it at all. Like it wasn't until about 15 minutes later that I thought, I didn't even respond to that in my head.
Yes.
Like it was just like, I don't care what you personally are doing. I mean, it's a little different. So that's why it like noted in the back of my brain. But at the time, like I didn't stop the conversation to go, hey, look at that guy.
Right.
I just was having a conversation. It didn't even register until later when I went, it registered that it didn't register.
Yes.
And I think that's where we are, is we're going, look, people's personal preferences is not almost ever what we're talking about here. We're always talking about the way that it's thrust into, like we were just saying, full systems to radically change the way our society operates.
Well,
that's the reason we talk about
One
it.
of the things that I cannot get my head around is for the party that is always celebrating and touting and saying diversity is our strength, their absolute efforts to remove any sort of diversity or differences between boys and girls.
Yes.
I don't understand why, like, there's the Girl Scouts.
Correct.
Why do we need to allow girls into the Boy Scouts? The reality of the situation is, and you guys can whine and moan and wail all you want, the reality of the situation is there are differences between boys and girls. Even at a young age, they're different. They go after different things. They're attracted to different things. They're interested by different things. And you need to approach talking to and teaching and growing and maturing these young people in different ways. I am not going to raise a daughter the same way I'm going to raise a son. They're different.
Yes, they are.
But what the left is proposing, and by letting girls join the Boy Scouts, which I think completely undercuts Girl Scouts.
It does. And they're not happy about this change, by the way.
Oh, that's interesting.
They are not happy.
By doing that, what they're essentially saying is there's no difference between you guys.
Correct.
How is that diversity?
It's not. It's homogenization is what it is, which is a difficult word to say, by the way.
And I go through this and I look at all the different types of ways that you can look at this. And the only thing that I come up with is this is just a way to undercut the system, to blow the system up, to make it completely collapse in on itself. And I don't understand what the desired outcome is, or what are they going to try to rebuild after they make everything collapse. But I feel like this sort of thing is really malicious. And they're able to get away with it because I listened to the CEO of the Scouts talk about why they did this, and he's like, we just want to be inclusive. I think that this guy is somebody that has good intentions, but is just completely getting snowballed and steamrolled by people who have bad intentions, and he's just going along with it.
And he's trying to make the organization continue to exist instead of simply collapse. But, when I was in scouting, and I spent a long time in scouting, and and that's why I prefaced it by saying I was in every leadership position that scouting has, except a scoutmaster. That's the only thing I wasn't. But in doing all of those activities, whether it was a patrol leader or a senior patrol leader or the person who was the executive over the senior patrol leader, I was in all those positions. It worked because there was something called esprit de corps. That's a concept. That's what the Marines, that's what the Army tries to foster, where you have a spirit of brotherhood where you work together towards a common goal. I can tell you right now, as a 15, 16, and a 17-year-old guy in Boy Scouts, if there would have been girls in there, I just would have been showing off for the girls. I mean, let's just be honest, okay? Kids are morons at that age, and they're really only interested in one thing. I'm just being honest, right? There's no point in sugarcoating it. That's the way it is. And instead of working together, I would have been trying to impress the girls, show them how smart I am, show them how strong I am. It would have completely changed the dynamic of scouting, which was about building character. And it would have actually introduced into scouting something that would have been negative regarding my character. I mean, listen, when we were at Boy Scout camp, all we did was talk about how we got to sneak over to the Girl Scout camp, which was across the lake. But we were still together and doing activities together. And introducing girls into that, number one, I think destroys that entire synergy that comes from scouting. And number two, changing their name is, to me, it's a waving the flag of defeat, that we can't fight the culture, we can't fight this momentum, so we're just going to give in, change our name, and try to stay afloat in this world of toxic wokeness.
That's what's so sad about where we've gotten, is that there are a lot of people for the last 20 years or so who have no interest in politics, no interest in rocking the boat. They don't want to be a part of the progressive movement. They don't want to be a part of a conservative movement. They just don't want to be a part of it.
Right.
But they've been forced to take a side because everything is being, you have to make these decisions all the time now. And if you don't make a decision, now that is making a decision.
That's making a decision.
Yes, right. No decision is a decision.
And it's one of the reasons why I do believe that COVID was a big wake-up call for people. I think that this Biden presidency has been a big wake-up call for people, that if you just kind of follow the stream of the world, it's going to take you places that you don't want.
Yes.
That you have to paddle. You can't just sort of kick your feet up and relax. You're going to have to do something, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely. And to me, I'm just disappointed, because I know personally what I got out of scouting, and I've got 3 daughters, so that Boy Scouts wasn't an option for me, for my kids. But boys who are going into scouting now will never have the opportunity that I had to build leadership skills, to build character, and to understand interrelationships before you interject the idea of testosterone and trying to deal with women. You've got to have that foundation of character first, and I'm just disappointed. And I think America as a whole is going to be less because of the demise of the Boy Scouts of America.
Mm-hmm. Some of the most patriotic people I know were Eagle Scouts.
Yes.
And they're very competent people. They actually, I think of the few that I know, most of them ended up in the military. Mm-hmm. And they are like so devoted to the country and the cause. And it's heartwarming. And when you see something like this and you go, it's just attempting to kind of tear away those foundations. I mean, that's the whole point of it.
Of course.
Is to remove those things that it just makes you sad, and it makes you say, well, then somebody's got to stand up. And
right.
That's what, there are other great alternatives to the Boy Scouts now, probably because of all this that's been happening.
But one of the things that I don't want you guys to overlook is the loss of what Boy Scouts creates. You were talking about the leadership, Brad. You were talking about the leadership skills that you learned. Boy Scouts created mature young men that could lead the country.
Yeah.
And they're attacking the organization and removing that.
Correct. And they will not have that opportunity to become the leaders of tomorrow if their training process to become those leaders is thwarted, and that's what the demise of the Boy Scouts has done. Hey, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, speaking of this theme that we've kind of got going here, gentlemen, about the point of overriding the cultural norms of society, the Post-Dispatch, I almost never agree with the Post-Dispatch. The editorial board of the Post-Dispatch came out with an opinion regarding Board of Alderman President Megan Green and her protest activities, and I shockingly, wholeheartedly endorse this opinion from the editorial board of the Post-Dispatch. We'll break that down next on the Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Fry Show.
Whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 40th, she deserves more. Shop tons of stunning on-trend jewelry for every budget at Diamonds Direct. Diamond fashion jewelry, beautiful birthstones, everyday pearls starting at just $200. Commemorate the real loves of her life with a gorgeous pendant featuring the birthstone of the one who made her mom. This Mother's Day, Diamonds Direct has everything you need to say thank you. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Online at diamondsdirect.com.
Gain peace of mind that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's Flooring Outlet. They give all their clients attentive personal service, even bring toys for the kids of the household. It's a family-owned and operated business for 25-plus years. They make sure you make the right choice for your home. So if you have carpets or hard floors, you're going to be happy for years to come. 3 convenient locations in St. Charles County, 116 Main Street, in Old Town St. Peters at Mid-Rivers and Highway 70, in West County on Olive, and the store in Darden Prairie. Michael's Flooring Outlet, igotfloor.com.
Did you know you can stream Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app? Just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio to hear the voices you trust. Brian Kilmeade.
Why are we so scared of Iran thinking they were at war with them?
Guy Benson.
Get the bleep out of here. It's disgusting.
Jimmy Fallon.
Then this administration rolled into town with a checkbook.
Are all on the free Odyssey app. From the news and talk to keep you informed and up to date during election season. Listen to Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
If you have a problem with the IRS, believe me, it's not going away on its own. The IRS never gives up. They have endless resources, so they control the game. Well, your tax problems can end. I'm attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm, a local tax resolution firm with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. I've handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years. So when you hire me, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some TV pitchman that's riddled with consumer complaints. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it will cost. So call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com. If you have IRS issues, you need a local attorney, you need me, Lance Drury.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-254-4574. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-254-4574 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-254-4574 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-254-4574.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. They can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align, because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit makeawish@wish.org.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
97.1 and thousands of music options, plus millions of podcasts, are all on the free Odyssey app. Download the app or tell your smart speaker to play 97.1, and it comes up automatically. 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I've been trying to do it right. I've been living a lonely life.
During the break, hey, welcome back to the show. During the break, I was reading through some of the posting on our YouTube live chat, and one person posted that my toughest interview was for my Eagle Scout review. And my Eagle Scout review was very, very challenging. And I can say that it was legitimately difficult. And so thank you for posting that. Before the break, I mentioned that I wanted to talk about this editorial. It wasn't a guest editorial. It was literally by the editorial board of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And I've got to set it up because we heard that Megan Green, president of the Board of Aldermen, was dismissed from Washington University. She was an adjunct professor there. And according to WashU, now, Megan Green, I will, in the interest of fairness, say she disputes this, but apparently WashU has evidence that during the protests at WashU, she used her security badge to open doors into secured areas to let the violent, destructive protesters into areas of WashU that were otherwise secured.
Seems like that might be a problem.
I could see where WashU would be have a problem with that. So they not only indefinitely suspended her teaching privileges from WashU, but they also banned her from the campus. She is not allowed to go onto the campus of WashU. And she's disputing that, but that's I believe that WashU has some evidence of this. But what was interesting is that as I'm reading through this editorial in the Post-Dispatch earlier this week, the headline is what got my attention. Is Megan Green a serious city leader or a professional protester? She must decide.
Okay.
And they set this up from the Post-Dispatch's position that you can't do both. You cannot be a serious leader and be a professional protester because, as they point out, this is a top elected official, Megan Green, and she's the official of a city which has the image of out-of-control crime and chaos, and it's driving the St. Louis economy into the ground. And so you can't do that as a city leader and then do that as a professional protester. They are mutually exclusive. But this is the part that I want to get your guys' comment on. This, and I'm quoting now from the Post-Dispatch, the editorial board. This is a quote. As an editorial board that tends to skew towards liberal positions, insert joke here, we have long found Green's brand of confrontational left-wing extremism problematic for many reasons, not the least of which is that it gives mainstream liberalism a bad name. Instead of working to find realistic solutions to the issues of the city, and like homelessness, Green suggests that the homeless should just have the legal right to urinate in public, unquote. So what do you think of that quote from the Post-Dispatch? And are you shocked by it? And what is the environment that the Post-Dispatch is trying to change by taking that position?
Well, that's a good question about what they're trying to change. I'm not really sure the answer to that question other than what they said in the article, which is they're giving mainstream liberalism a bad name. I guess they're trying to get out ahead of it. It's the same thing that we're seeing all over the place, though. You keep pushing this activism, this far left progressivism, and it is out of control. And you're seeing it on the college campuses.
Yes.
I mean, this is, I guess, an extension of that. This is college campus related too. But this monster that they've sort of cultivated and not reined in, they might not like it, but they have created it and allowed it to and fostered and festered. And now here it is. And they're going, uh-oh, what are we supposed to do with this thing now?
There's a lot of disingenuousness here because it's almost as if Frankenstein, who built his monster, then says, oh, man, I didn't mean for that to go and rampage the countryside and killing and maiming and destroying it. I just wanted to create a cool monster, and now it's out of my hands. Isn't that the same situation that the Post-Dispatch itself has created?
Yes.
Well, absolutely. What we're seeing from the Post-Dispatch is basically the left or liberals, you know, quote-unquote mainstream liberals waking up to the fact that this mob that they created that was useful to them to gain power, to get in control, they're losing control a bit. And they're like going, wait, no,
Yeah.
stop.
We didn't want you to go this far.
What are you talking about? This is not what we were talking about. But what is the phrase? Little tigers become big tigers.
Mm.
They're cute when they're little baby cubs, but they eventually become big tigers and they will turn around and eat you.
Yes.
That's kind of what the left is figuring out about these more radical aspects of their party. They can't control the radical aspects. They've lost control of the squad. I mean, you've got Rashida Tlaib,
Cori Bush,
what's her name up in Minnesota?
Ilhan
Omar, even AOC out there championing the merits of like organizations like Hamas and Palestine and stuff like that. And they can't tell them no because their support within the base is big enough to cost them an election.
Correct.
So they won't stand up to it. But now the other people that aren't, that kind of let this go, they're going, wait, I am really uncomfortable with associating with this group, because some of the stuff that has come off the campuses and all this other stuff, some really hateful speech coming off the campuses, really hateful things painted onto different like structures at the campus. I mean, even the ones that they cleared out, they just trashed the whole campus. Just left behind garbage and
public
filth
property.
And everything. Breaking glass, taking over buildings. And they're like, wait a minute. This isn't what we want to be associated with. And now that this little tiger has become a big tiger, they're starting to panic and try to get it under control again.
Because who runs WashU? I promise you that in the academia at WashU, and I know this is the fact at the academia at St. Louis University, my law school alma mater, they're as left can be. They're like the Indy 500 of political philosophy. They go as fast as they can, doing nothing but turning to the left.
Yes.
Okay, that's what they do. All right, and so now, as you guys have already pointed out, that we've been racing as fast as we can to turn to the left. Now all of a sudden, oh my goodness, I don't like what I've created. And it's coming back to fight the very institutions that fostered the birth of this destructive philosophy.
And here's the thing, too, that the left would listen to this conversation and say, yeah, but the right does that, too. No, that's not true. There are extremists on the right, just like there are on the left.
Correct.
But they are not controlling the party enough that they are dictating what happens within the party.
Yeah, Mike Johnson.
I was just getting ready to say.
Beat you to it. Mike Johnson.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Mike Johnson was just about to be maybe thrown out again because the extreme part of the party was saying, no, I don't like what he's doing. That is a fine voice to have. But the established members of the party, and not even really the establishment. I mean, it was like a lot of the conservative caucus and everybody said, no, we're not going to switch gears right now. They said no to that. Mm-hmm. And it's not just this example. The House is all over the place on these issues. They fight all the time.
Yes, they do.
The House fights within even the conservatives fight. So, like, there's less conservative members of the Republican caucus, and there's very conservative members. And the very conservative members fight among each other. And that what that's called ultimately is accountability.
Yes, that's
so
right.
These things do matter. And when you lose control of the extremes, then it is a problem. And it is a problem for everybody, not just you. It's a problem for all of us now.
Right. And I'm just shocked, though, that it came to the Post-Dispatch admitting many of these things. And at the end of this editorial, the Post-Dispatch goes as far to say this. And again, I'm quoting. If that's true, and when they say that's true, it's talking about all of her zeal for activism and her basically ignoring of her actual duties as a city leader. If that's true, Alderwoman, then it sounds like the protest movement desperately needs your undivided attention. So in essence, the editorial board of the Post-Dispatch is calling for the resignation of Megan Green from the Board of Aldermen in the city of St. Louis. Now, I think that's astounding, but as we've talked about here today, it was certainly foreseeable because of the genie that's been unleashed by their own liberalism.
Mm-hmm.
And now it is coming back to bite them. I just think it's a profound admission. And I think Kim Gardner is the same way. I look back, and when Kim Gardner initially ran for office, she was endorsed by the Post-Dispatch. And it wasn't until after she became a literal dumpster fire as the circuit attorney did the Post-Dispatch come back and say, you know what, we missed that one. We shouldn't have supported Kim Gardner. But that, hindsight's always 20/20. And I knew the instant that Kim Gardner ran for office, this is going to be a legal dumpster fire, and it turned out to be a raging inferno. I mean, it was even worse than I could have imagined. And yet, if the college campuses continue on this trajectory, it too will be even more of a raging inferno than what we are currently trying to extinguish.
It brings up the question, how do you rein it in? Because it's not going to be conservatives that do it. We've been saying this for ages, that this is going to become a problem, you guys. The monster's going to turn on you. And we just talked about in the House bill conversation that we had at the beginning of the 1 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
That was something that Republicans supported. We're openly criticizing it. That's what has to happen. You have to openly criticize parts of your own party that you don't like, and maybe you're wrong, but maybe they're wrong.
And I see the border as being the same issue.
Yeah,
where the Democrats and the left have been for basically an open border for decades, and now even people in Martha's Vineyard are getting upset about it because they saw immigrants that weren't using leaf blowers and they got really upset about it, right?
Yeah.
And so, oh my goodness, that man's not carrying a leaf blower. We need to call the police. And so the Martha's Vineyard crowd is upset, and now people in even northern states are upset because of the immigration issue, because the genie of the immigration of the open border, the Swiss cheese border, has now gotten out of the bottle. And so all of these, I'm finding a commonality in all of these areas where the left has supported things, but then when the fire got out of control, it started to burn the very organizations that they support.
Yeah, and again, if conservatives are not going to be able to rein this in, which we're not, I mean, we've been doing our part. We are salting the earth as much as we possibly can on these things, but ultimately it's going to be mainstream liberals that have to do it.
It's because the liberals don't care what conservatives have to say or think or do. They just don't care. But it's them that has to speak up and them that have to control their own party, and they won't do it until it starts affecting their lives. Which is why when I look at Abbott and DeSantis busing migrants to liberal cities and watching them squirm under the weight of their own policies, I'm like, that's exactly what needs to happen. That is a brilliant move, both politically and...
It was so brilliant because it brought the chaos of the border to middle and eastern America. And it allowed the middle America and eastern America to finally say, wow, this is a problem. Like, welcome to the show.
And drop in the bucket comparatively, too. That's what's amazing.
It's a complete drop in the bucket.
It didn't take anything for their systems to start bending and buckling under the weight of that unmitigated immigration.
Right. And as Bruce Willis said in the first Die Hard movie, welcome to the party, pal. Okay? Because this is what the border's been dealing with all along. That's why I was applauding Governor Parson when he was at the border. He had Missouri National Guard members at the border, and he pointed out in his speech, I'm not here to protect Texas. I'm here because the immigration issue affects all Missourians, and we have to start the protection at the border to protect the state of Missouri. Hey, we're coming up on a hard break here. We've got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of other things, including trust in the media, the government wasting our money, dogs and cats living together, total hysteria, right here on the Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
I don't know where I went wrong.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Fry Show.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Our goal at Neovitin is to make supporting your nutrition as easy as possible. That's why we created the Neovitin monthly subscription. Just go to neovitin.com, choose your multivitamin, sign up, and we will do the rest. You'll receive your Neovitin multivitamin every month with no long-term obligation. You can pause or cancel at any time, and shipping is free. Each Neovitin multivitamin includes our physician-formulated proprietary blend for nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Start supporting your nutrition the easy way with Neovitin multivitamins. Sign up for a Neovitin subscription today at neovitin.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Del Walmsley and the Wealth Cycle.
This is the wealth cycle that I've taught for 30 years. Buy one house, 10 houses, an apartment, 2 apartments, 8, 20, 500 units, 1,000 units, 2,000, 5,000 units. And as you keep putting the money and the profits back in, you become one of those rich people. And much quicker than you'd even believe.
Learn Dell's Wealth Cycle at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Use promo code 2024. Save 60%. Code 2024. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
I can see clearly now thanks to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and introducing Samuel Berry. You can too. Call 314-966-5000 or check out youridoc.com. That's youridoc.com.
Will any of the remaining Trump cases make it to trial before November? Yes or no? Newsflash, it's May, so time's a ticking. Let us know what you think about this, and of course, leave a comment. We've been reading those throughout the show. It's the Andy Fry YouTube live chat poll of the day. 12:45. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon getting ready here for a Thursday afternoon edition of the show. Michelle Tafoya is going to join us at 3:25. She's going to talk about some things related to Title IX and some campus protest stuff. It's all coming up.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Yo, drop your glasses, shake it. Face screwed up like you having hot flashes. Which one? Pick one. This one classic. Red from blind, yeah. I'm drastic. Why this? Why that? Lip stop asking. Listen to me, baby. Relax and start passing. Expressway, head back, weaving through the traffic. This one strong.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. We're sliding into the last segment here today. And
sliding into DMs, baby.
Exactly. So, have any of you seen the movie Unfrosted?
Yeah.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I haven't finished it, but I'm close.
It's getting a lot of negative feedback.
It is.
And I enjoyed the movie.
There's nothing to that movie.
Oh, it's
just a bunch of scenes that are just nonsensical fake history.
What is Unfrosted?
Okay, let me set the stage. The concept of this movie, Unfrosted, it's a Jerry Seinfeld. He wrote it, he directed it, he stars in it, he did all the casting.
So it's a movie about nothing.
But it's a
yes, Brad.
But no, there's a basis in reality for this.
Okay.
But the setup for the movie is it takes place in Battle Creek, Michigan in the 1960s.
Okay.
And it's a battle between Post and Kellogg's because they've got these cereals, but they want to do something different. And so they both are working at inventing a fruit-filled toaster pastry.
Okay.
Which is just impossible in the movie. They cannot get it right.
Science can't ever put fruit in a pastry.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was hilarious. And I'm not going to give anything away, but as a huge fan of Mad Men, there is an amazing Mad Men scene.
Oh, I haven't seen this part yet. Then
with St. Louis's own John Hamm.
No, I haven't seen this yet.
With John Slattery, and there is an amazing Mad Men scene that is just incredible. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But it raises the issue, and I think it's very funny. It's got Hugh Grant in it. Anybody you can think of is in this movie that has done anything in comedy. Amy Schumer is in it. Jim Gaffigan is in it. He's one of the leads. And I enjoyed it. It's getting a lot of negative press. But it brought me to this idea, which is, what is your favorite Pop-Tart flavor?
Oh, that one's easy.
What?
I love the s'mores Pop-Tarts.
Really?
Yes, that's my favorite. I really don't like any of the other ones. Those are the only ones I like.
I like ones that have frosting because some of them don't. You know?
Correct.
Like, I think the blueberry ones maybe
Blueberries
don't.
don't.
So I prefer frosting, first of all. But I like s'mores, too. I think I like there's like they do different flavors, all the time. And there was one recently, there was like a cream flavor, like a cookies and cream maybe, that was pretty good.
I think so, yep.
But my problem with them is that it seems recently, I don't know if this is true, but it just seems this way, that they're expanding the crust in a little bit more.
Well, come on. You know why that is.
Shrinkflation.
Yeah.
Bidenomics. Here we go.
What's your crust? I'm not buying your Pop-Tarts to eat your crust. I want the jelly.
I kind of like the crust on a Pop-Tart.
I don't think you're ready for that jelly.
Well, I prefer the blueberry, but I think it's funny that there was a lawsuit. This is 10, 15 years ago. Class action lawsuit against Kellogg's. And the lawsuit was based upon that the strawberry Pop-Tart doesn't have any strawberry in it.
Oh, yeah?
Because
Okay.
it's all made from apples. No matter what flavor you buy of a
course.
Pop-Tart, it's all apples.
Okay.
And so the lawsuit was over, can you advertise a strawberry Pop-Tart that doesn't have any strawberries in it?
Ooh, that's a good question.
All right.
I would like to know how this turned out.
And the case got settled. It got settled out of court. Kellogg's had to pay some money. And
so we still don't know.
So we don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
But it was all confidential. But
Yeah.
but the point is now they have to say that it's strawberry flavoring, or they put some strawberry flavoring in it. They did something to resolve the issue, but in reality, it was just lawyers making money, which, as my wife says, isn't necessarily a bad thing when
Well-
lawyers make money. But that's my wife. Get it?
Yeah, I don't agree.
Okay, but but I got to tell you this thing. Oh, one thing: when you watch it, it sets up this idea that Post invents something called country squares, and Pop-Tart has Pop-Tarts. All right, I looked it up. That was a real thing, and it exists even to this day.
Country squares.
Yeah, the name got changed after the country squares. Nobody bought it. The name got changed to, which would never happen today. Speaking of lawyers, the name got changed to Toastum Pop-Ups, and I would have sued over that because it's too close to Pop-Tarts. But yeah, so some of it is based in reality, but really it's just a show about nothing. But when I was a kid, my mom said we're going to get a new toaster. So what I did was I took the old toaster, I went out and we had like a half-court basketball court on the driveway kind of a thing. So I went out there with the toaster, and I put 2 Pop-Tarts in the toaster, and I duct taped it in the on position. Okay.
Oh.
So whenever like a toaster, when the handle pops up and it's done, I duct taped it so it couldn't shut off. And it cycled about.
Why?
Well, I'm going to tell you why.
Chunk.
Because after it cycled through about 4 or 5 or 6 times, the Pop-Tarts inside exploded. And when they exploded, the goo, it was a strawberry Pop-Tart. Oh, it was great. The goo shot out of the toaster, and the goo was on fire. And it turned into a Pop-Tart flamethrower. So it shot up about 3 feet out of the toaster, and the goo was on fire and was already red. Oh, it was amazing.
And that's why.
And that's why I did it.
Okay.
How old were you?
I was 10.
Does a 10-year-old need any other reason?
No, not at all. Not at all. I just thought that maybe you would just keep pushing it down and keep doing it.
No, you got to get close to that.
No, I didn't want that. I didn't want the thing exploding in my face. I kind of knew what was going to happen.
Well, if you push it down and run away.
I know, but just duct taped it in the on position, I could step back and watch it, which is what I did, which was also similar to the stunt I pulled as a kid because we reloaded ammunition in my house. We were frequent hunters and shooters, and we would do reloading. So my dad had cases of gunpowder. And what I would do is I'd build model ships, and I'd fill them with gunpowder. And then and then I would draw a line of gunpowder out about 10 feet and light it. and it would go like the Mission Impossible beginning where it's burning the fuse, and it looked like a torpedo heading to the ship, and when it hit the gunpowder, boom, and the thing went into a million pieces. Oh, it was glorious. So, yeah, that and the Pop-Tart flamethrower, classic kid move. But, of course, the toaster was toast, all right? The toaster was gone, but thankfully my mom had bought a new one, and so no problem.
She had anticipated this might happen.
Well, probably. It wasn't the first time.
I'll get a backup toaster just in
case Brad destroys
see
our
what he
our
does to
main
those
toaster.
model ships? My toaster isn't going to make it.
No, it's not going to make it, but it was really cool for the Pop-Tart flamethrower.
Brad Range, you were farm adjacent. Or you were a farm kid, right?
Farm kid, yeah.
Is this you two?
Real stuff, yeah.
Because I never did this stuff.
My brother had a model of the Bismarck, and we blew it up and sank it in our swimming pool. And when I say swimming pool, it's like a horse trough that we filled with water that when we were little we swam it. So we put it out there and we blew it up with. We used firecrackers. We didn't actually do our own reloading, but yeah, all sorts of stuff like that.
I was too good of a kid. If my parents told me no, you can't do that, I'd be like, oh, must be a reason.
My parents
I
didn't
won't
tell
do
me
that.
no, I couldn't do that.
They didn't say specifically that. Yeah. I guess
Hey, listen, if you don't ask, you can't be told
That's
no,
exactly
right?
right. It's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Exactly.
That's very true.
So no, I never had any of those kinds of problems. Not a problem at all.
How long was it airborne?
Oh, the Pop-Tart
Yeah.
goo? Oh, well, it shot up about 4 feet and then just came right back down. But it was on fire, so there was that, and it was really cool because I didn't know that Pop-Tart goo was actually flammable. And it may not be now. It may be different.
Somebody's going to do that on YouTube if they haven't now.
Oh,
You
maybe
realize
so.
that. You broadcast it.
Wait. Before the show's over, now I'm putting on my legal hat. Kids, do not try this at home.
See, I would have heard that
there
and
you
been
go.
like, well, I guess I can't do it then.
You don't strike me as that person
No.
at all.
Isn't that funny? No, I am that kid, though. I was such a good kid. I followed the rules. Annie's the same way. She always says, well, I always followed the rules. I was, too.
Not me. That's why I became a lawyer.
I followed the rules.
You had to figure out how to go around them.
Now I do it really well.
Yeah.
I followed the rules, but if you didn't tell me what the rules were, I just kind of did whatever I wanted.
There you
Hey,
go.
Brad, earlier you said you wanted Annie to post a picture
Yes.
from D.C., and she did, so I'm going to put this up on the YouTube stream. So
And what is it?
It is Annie holding up the Washington Monument.
Yes.
So here it is on the street.
There you
She
go.
took a little different angle to this rather than standing beside it and putting her hands up
Yep.
like she was holding it. She's got a picture from a distance. I can't tell if that's out the window of a building or what. And she's holding it with her index and her thumb like she's setting it down in a model. So get your
Great picture.
Yep, get your photo
Scavenger hunt?
Yeah, your scavenger hunt photos in, and Annie will take the pictures, and we'll get those uploaded as soon as we can.
And the other thing is we took the poll, and of course the YouTube live chat poll was, will any of the remaining Trump cases make it to trial before the election in November, yes or no? Mr. Range, what were the results of today's poll?
Well, I'm looking at it right now. I haven't ended it yet, but it is with 22% people say yes. This is out of 144 votes, and then 78% of the people say no, these aren't going to make it. So
Wow.
that are the poll results.
Well, I don't know. For those who said yes, there will be a remaining Trump case to make it to trial, I would love to know what case do you think is going to make it to trial?
Yeah.
Because none of them are moving forward in any way towards any sort of a trial setting.
Yeah, super
I think
large
the people who are saying yes to that, I'm wild guess here. They're just saying there's so many that, yeah, one of them's got to make it. But if you're paying attention to the details, you'd think, yeah, I don't know that they are.
Well, I don't know what cases. It certainly isn't going to be the documents case. It certainly isn't going to be the January 6th trial, because I think once the Supreme Court overturns the concept of prosecuting them under Sarbanes-Oxley, it's all going to go back again. And
That's
it's going to
what I
have
was
to
gonna
be.
say.
Yeah, exactly. Sarbanes-Oxley.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, you're right on it. Very good. Hey, I've had a blast hanging out today. What do we got tomorrow here on the Annie Fry Show?
It's Wiggins and Brad. Wiggins and Brad Range, I should say.
It's Ryan and
Yeah.
Brad again.
Yes. We've had nothing but Ryan and Brad's all week, so we're going to continue the tradition.
Keep the party going. Well,
Yeah.
it is a party. Thanks for letting me hang out with the cool kids over here on 97.1 FM Talk. Brad Young in today, and I will be back on KMOX on Wednesday nights, starting next Wednesday night, 11:20 a.m., and back here when I get invited. Hey, thanks for listening to the Annie Fry Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Thursday, May 16th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Seating is limited, so go online to retirementkey.com. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you close to retirement or already retired and wondering what to do with your life savings? Are you concerned about more market volatility the closer we get to the election? Would you like to know how linking to the market is smarter and safer than owning the market? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any losses and provide more income than your current plan? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss this event.
Protect that retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig